G'day guys, Clint Adams here, and we're just recording episode 10 of The Full Landscape. I'm here with Nathan Bennett, who is the Course Superintendent of the Royal Adelaide Golf Club, 2017 winner of Golf Course Superintendent of South Australia. And we are going to talk about golf and turf and his role and how he got into it. This is a very appropriate week for us to be doing this. It's Thank a Super Week, which is an initiative from the AGCSA. So, yeah, hope you enjoy this one.
Y'all ready to turn it up tonight? If you really wanna fly, hands in the air, let the music.
I'm sitting down with Nathan Bennett, who's the Course Superintendent for the Royal Adelaide Golf Club.
Yep.
If you want to just introduce yourself and give us a bit of an idea about, I guess, your background and what you're currently doing.
So Nathan Bennett, the Superintendent at the Royal Adelaide Golf Club. So I manage everything outside at the club. So we have a general manager, but I work directly under him, answer to him and to the committee. But so maintain everything outside the walls of the building, pretty much. So that's everything from turf to obviously turf maintenance, facility maintenance, as in shed, water infrastructure, water collection, storm harvesting, and water collection and recharging. So everything to do with that. I'm also part of the Superintendents Association of Adelaide or South Australia. So there's about 60 or 70 members in that. So we are on the committee with that. So we're trying to run events and organise seminars and functions that we try and get guys together and talk shop pretty much. So
and that's obviously something that you guys consider to be important. There's obviously a lot of focus on that.
Definitely.
Because there's a continual requirement for education with these guys, or it's a networking opportunity?
It's networking more than education. I think education, people that get into the role that I'm in have probably been done their trade. They've done some of them done more education. There's an advanced certificate and there's diplomas. There used to be a master's degree, but that's not available anymore. But you can get a diploma in sports turf. Some guys try other bits and pieces, whether it be business management and all sorts of education, but for our seminars it's more about networking, and it's amazing how much you gain by going to other guys' golf clubs, seeing what they're doing, their facility, their maintenance practices, little techniques they're trying, and I think that's a really important part of the industry that I'm in. A lot of guys get bogged down on their own.
Well, they're quite isolated.
They do,
especially the country courses where there's small staff numbers.
So we try and get out there. So currently for example, this coming Monday, Tuesday, we're heading to the Barossa. So we're going to go see Penfield, Barossa, Thunder Pines, Gawler. Last year, 2 years ago, we went down to Victor Harbour, all those clubs down there. We've been up to the Riverland. So we try and get out we try and get out to those regional areas, and as much as we can. It's difficult, and that's why we try and do it, because we know it's difficult for those guys to come into town. So we try and get out there.
They don't. If anyone's missing from any of the city, or the city, you could say city, like Mount Osmond or Royal,
the region, the metropolitan areas.
It's because they're one of 2 or 4 staff on a course, and for them to be like when we were Murray Bridge, like Mal was one of 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 staff.
So for him to disappear for a day,
very
it's just
difficult.
not realistic.
That's right,
so.
and we understand as an association, we understand that. So that's a bit difficult to cover, but
and
we
clubs
try and
that
get out
have,
there.
I guess, more resources generally support the ones that don't.
Definitely.
Not necessarily with money or stuff, but just support.
Definitely. So, and that's where, and we try and get that across, that we are here to support each other. We're not here to judge or criticise. We're here to, and we've all got the same issues. It's just on different scales, and there's different expectations at different clubs. So there's, I think some of the smaller clubs think that the bigger clubs don't care about it, or I've got bigger issues, or whatever.
Well, they've got it easy because they've got a team of 14 or 20 or whatever.
It's the same issue. It's just on a bigger scale, or it's a bigger, as I said before, expectations are different clubs. So we've all got the same problem. That's why we all try and get together and communicate that, and really try and encourage each other to get involved, because the guys that do get involved, and they think it's great. They come along and
they get the benefit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not all give. There's a lot of take.
Definitely.
Not that they're taking, but
that's what it's about.
I mean, I've witnessed that with the events that I've been to. It seems like quite a supportive industry.
Yep.
Obviously, there's going to be minor jealousies about jobs that people have missed out on, or that people want to go for, and it's just human nature. But in general,
it's every industry.
Yeah, it's just like, well, we're all here to do what were the
Yep.
same, a similar thing, and
Totally.
you know, they're there for each other, and
Yep.
you know, even I guess from a machinery sharing point of view,
Yes.
like everyone's
Yep.
working together.
We do that as well. Like so. The club I'm at is financially stable. We've
Yep.
got all the equipment we need,
Yep.
and we lend stuff out. So, for example, Murray Bridge just had our roller for 3 weeks because
Yeah.
they had a pro-am event
Yeah.
coming up, and
Yep.
Mel needed a roller. And
Yeah.
the last 3 years, we've borrowed that out. So we borrow equipment out, we lend it
Yep.
out as we need to because we understand that some clubs have got to produce a surface and they haven't got the ability with the equipment they've got.
Yeah.
So we try and get that
And it's just the right
information
thing to do.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
if
how
you-
we see
yeah.
it. I think it's important to support those the smaller clubs.
So how did you get started? Was it I guess, did you have an interest in turf management? Was it
No, well, I'm from a wheat farm, so
Yep.
in Victoria. So I love the outdoors and I love that feel, but I didn't want to be. I didn't want to.
be a farmer?
Yeah, because doesn't matter how good a farmer you could be the best farmer in the world. You don't have rain, you got nothing.
And what
so,
do you have? 1 in 10 years is great.
Yeah,
so there's
that's
9
right.
years of stress or
Yeah,
whatever.
and I seen what my parents go through, and they're still going through
Yeah.
it with the ebbs and flows of the yields and the weather. So.
Yep.
I wanted to do something like that. It was interesting. I did work experience at Murray Downs
Yep.
and didn't enjoy it that much.
Yep.
And then did a year later, did another work experience in Melbourne at Albert Park and hated it.
Yep.
And then a job came up at Murray Downs and I went for it, didn't get it. And then so I was
you
17.
really shouldn't be here.
No. So when I was 17 and then I finished year 12 and the superintendent that was at Murray Downs, Richard Forsyth,
Yep.
he'd moved to Metropolitan and I did work experience with him and he called me up and said, "Do you want to come down to Melbourne?" So
Yep.
begrudgingly I did because I hated Melbourne as a
'Cause it's
teenager.
busy and you're a country
I'm from
kid.
a farm, middle of nowhere, to the city. Didn't
Yep.
know anyone, so I moved down there. Took the risk, moved down there as a 17-year-old, and I loved work. So I used to live at work because I didn't want to leave work because I didn't like living in Melbourne. So I loved it.
So you stay on course. And
Yeah, and a really good team that I sort of grew up there.
So what course was that?
The Metropolitan Golf Club.
Yep,
So
cool.
a really strong group of guys there. So we had a huge, and there's a big group of those guys that are at significant clubs now. So
And they're all supers in their own.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Richard
Forsyth now's at Royal Melbourne.
he's a name that I've heard before.
Yeah,
he's
so he went from
obviously-
Metro now. He's at Royal Melbourne. So in that group of guys we had there, so we've got Richard's at Royal Melbourne.
Yep.
We've got Dave Mason's back at Metro. Lee
Yep.
Yannis at the National.
Yep.
Adam Lamb's at Bowen Heads. I'm at
Yep.
Royal Adelaide. Steve
Yep.
Newell's back at Victoria.
Yeah.
So a lot of
And
guys.
these all
out of
guys
that group-
came up from Richard's
Yeah,
pedigree, I guess.
Out of that group of guys
Yep.
that I was employed as an apprentice, some
Yep.
of those guys were assistants and groundsmen, and we were all really close. We keep in contact. So, and that was I'm lucky that I ended up at a club like that. And I suppose.
Because it could have gone another way
exactly.
if you'd stayed at a different club.
Yes,
or work
and not
experience
enjoyed
worked
it as
out
much
somewhere
and
else
dropped out. So I'm really thankful for Richard and for those guys to have that group we had and the friendships, and I've still got those strong
It's probably a
friendships.
really good example for people in general in any job, that just because you don't like the job, it might not be the actual
Yeah.
the job that you're doing. It could be the crew that you're in or the location that you're in.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And I was lucky that it happened to fit and it worked really well. So
Did
they
you
looked
know
after
him?
me.
Is that how he
No.
pulled you across?
So I knew him through I did work experience
Yeah.
there, and then that was in year 10,
Yeah.
and this was in year
So
12.
that's
I-
like, this kid was good. Like
Yeah,
he's-
so I applied for a job and didn't get it,
Yep.
but then he called me up 3 months later and said, because he was at Murray Downs when I applied for
Yep.
it, then he went to Metro and called me up because he wanted country guys because he
makes so
found
much
they
sense.
were especially in Melbourne, they found they were a better work ethic. So I moved there and as I said, loved
and it's not a blanket rule, but it's a good
Yeah, it is.
generalisation.
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. And it's nothing against the guys in the city.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes the guys in the city are a bit blasé, whereas the guys in the country tend to mature quicker.
Yeah, well,
so
they
you
have
have
to, don't
an
they?
18-year-old guy is a bit more mature
Yeah.
than a 20-year-old guy from town.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how it sort of works.
I get that, and it's funny, we talk about it a lot with the generational. Like, people are like, "Oh, this generation's no good," or "This generation's no good," and I don't think it's the case. It's just that there's probably the majority of it's just
Yeah,
generalisations.
definitely. Yeah. So that's where I started from there, and then moved my way around.
So you
from
worked. Yes, how many courses have you been employed by?
there. 4. So I was at Metro for 8 years, and then become foreman there, and then moved down to Moona Links when Moona was being built, and that was going to hold some opens. So I did the Aussie Open in '97 at Metro, and then the World Match Play in 2001, and then moved down to Moona Links, finished off the growing of the Legends course.
Yep.
And whilst that was happening, then involved with the 2003, 2005 Australian Opens.
Yep.
Then left there as an assistant, and went to the Sands in Torquay as a superintendent for 6 years, and then whilst there had a televised tournament, which is the the sixes that's over in Perth. We had the very first one. They claim that the WA one was first, but we had the first one that was televised
TV
in
golf politics.
Yeah, in Torquay. So that was
the sixes being 6 holes.
Yeah, so it was an 18-hole event for the first 3 days, and then the last day was cut down to 6 holes, and then the field was cut to 32, and then one played 32, and they worked its way down to the winner. So, and with 6 holes, and after 6 holes it was a nearest the pin shootout. So great. It was really entertaining.
Good for golf, isn't it?
It was really entertaining. So we had that, and then about 6 months after I had that, the job come up here, and I wasn't looking at coming to Adelaide. I wasn't probably more moving to Melbourne to a certain extent. Although I didn't like Melbourne, but this job come up and I jumped at it. And
the golf course opportunities are more eastern seaboard, aren't they? Like
there's more of them.
The higher, and there's more population, so there's more
definitely.
money. There's more.
Yeah.
More premium courses, more premium jobs.
So there's not many more premium than the ones we have here, but there's more of them over there. So
that's what I'm. Yeah, no, sorry.
So we've got 4 big ones here.
That's right,
and we've got some great clubs here.
Yeah,
but in Melbourne, there's so
much opportunity.
4 times more. But then by saying there's more people going for the job. So it's as hotly contested, but it's just there's more opportunities come up in Melbourne than and Sydney than most others, any other states.
Yeah. And cities. It's just, I guess it would be the same in anything.
Yeah,
in IT
right.
or in sales or whatever. There's more people, so it's just a thing.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And what? So then, if you went to like overseas, not that necessarily you're in a position to do that now with a young family and whatever else, but if you went, are there opportunities for, say, a young golf course employee to go to Singapore or to Europe, or like are there countries screaming out for good people?
You'll find that when guys go through their apprenticeship and they get qualified, there's a thing called the Ohio program where guys can they can get into that, which means when they can go to Ohio to the uni there for 6 months, and they place them in golf clubs, and they place them at high-end golf clubs. So places like Shinnecock Hills and Marion and all these high-end clubs. So I've had a fair few guys from Australia who've gone over there and done that, and have come back, and a lot of them have gone over there and stayed there. Now they're superintendents at high-end clubs.
Yeah.
So America cries out for Aussie guys because in America you're either an academic or you're a labourer. So they'll have 3 qualified guys and 30 Mexicans just about doing the labour work. Whereas they love the Aussie guys because they know how to do the work and they're educated.
Yeah,
trained.
So it's almost like the country. Like that country guys in Australia, the Australians guys are the country
going over
to America
and they love them. So a lot of guys will go over there and they'll work and they'll excel at what they do there, and they end up keeping them on there and getting full-time work. Or they'll end up, there's opportunities to go to Europe, but places like Dubai and all through there, and the Asian countries. A lot of Aussies.
Well, there's a lot of money there now, isn't there? Where like maybe Japan doesn't have the land to have a lot of golf courses, but the ones they have, they've got
a lot there, and China all through there, but and Malaysia and Vietnam, all those places. So a lot of Aussies,
holiday destinations as well.
Yeah, a lot of Aussie guys are in those areas. So
I see what you mean. Like I played golf in Indonesia when I was there, and the majority of the course staff were obviously Indonesians. Yeah, and obviously the rate would be so much lower, but then they'd obviously have either skilled staff.
Yeah, definitely. It's completely gap, different. I spoke to a captain from Sri Lanka. We had an interstate, a Asian Pacific event, senior Asian Pacific event in October, and a guy from Sri Lanka, and he was talking to me about what we were doing and wanted to know how we did things and what we did, and I explained to him some of the things. And we make green sand up to fill our divot marks in to try and blend in, and he wanted to know how we did it, and I explained that.
You mean the mix where you
we mix up green dye, up green dye into sand and mix it up, and he wanted to know how we did it, and I explained, and I wasn't sure whether he was from a club that had 10 staff or what it was, and I said, look, we have 14 staff. How many staff do you have? He said we have 150 staff, and I almost fell off the chair. Expensive. We said we have 3 staff, so 2 people per hole and per fairway and 1 person per green. That's all they do is they
look after that patch,
fix up pitch marks, pull any weeds, fix any pivots, whatever it might be.
Insane because the cost is so low compared to probably what it costs to play.
Exactly.
Well.
Oh yeah. So and then they'll have a crew to come through and mow. They'll have a crew to come through and spray. So that the labour's cheap, and that's the issue with Aussie and with Australia is that wages are so expensive in all fields. Yeah. And then cost. So you go to America, for example, places like Florida, some of the high-end clubs there, for a green fee, you can be paying up towards $250,000 to join, but you might spend another $60,000 a year to be for green for a membership.
Because you're just a member. Yeah.
Whereas in Australia, you're looking at
what
10,000 to join. A top end
If
club might
that,
be 10
yeah,
to 15 to
that's
join.
the
A
top,
high end
yeah,
club, and
yeah.
you might be spending four or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Whereas, which is a lot of money,
Yeah.
but compared to the big clubs in Melbourne, it's peanuts.
Yeah. Was it Augusta? They just have a fixed membership and split the costs.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of clubs do that.
Yeah, so they've just gone. We only want 1,200 members or 400
Yep.
members or whatever.
A lot of them they'll just divvy it up. At the end of the year, they'll spend what they need to spend. They'll divvy it up amongst the members, and some of them to the point where they'll allow other people to play. So I was talking to someone the other day, and he was mentioning that the members, some years the members don't pay any fees
Because it's a profitable business.
Yeah, because they'll have, so when the members playing, and in front of them there was a group of 4, there's probably $4,000, and behind them was a group of 4, there's another $4,000.
So that's paid for their whatever.
Yeah, so at the end of the year they work out what they've made with green fees and all other costs, and they say this year there's no bill because
and obviously,
it's been
of course,
covered.
like Augusta's got television rights, and like that's another.
Yeah,
that's
that's completely different.
That in the game,
but these are high-end clubs that are in Australia. In America that are like that.
Yeah.
Just so
because a holiday maker that's got money wants to play that course.
Yep, definitely. And there's just more money available in those areas. So Australia we have the money available, I think, but people aren't prepared to spend that money on golf over here.
On a golf experience,
exactly. So, which is unusual because they'll spend it when they'll go overseas and spend it, but they won't spend it here as much.
It's probably just that it's the cool factor. Like I played at whatever. Whereas you know, as much as we've got the Royals and then you've got your top 10.
Yep.
It doesn't have the same ring to it for these guys for some reason.
Yeah, anyway. And I think too, that's the tall poppy syndrome over here. We don't tend to think that
you don't want to reward the good courses.
We've got probably 8 courses in the top 100 of the world, and people sort of fob it off a little bit.
Yeah, but it's
yeah. So that's the unfortunate bit.
Do you hold a GA? Have you got a handicap?
I do. It's poor. It's 27. I'm no golfer.
That's not that bad, man. I'm at 30 points, I think, so we're about the same.
So no, and that's I didn't get into it because I like golf. I never played golf.
I don't think many guys get into it because they like golf. It's a standing joke that your job would be great if it wasn't for golf.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally.
And I know it's in jest, but
saying that, I've got guys that love it. They can't get enough of it, and that's why they do it because they love golf and they see it as an opportunity to work on a great golf course,
and they can play it all the time,
and they can play golf at our golf course, time depending on the time of day and whatever. But they get to play golf, but they can practice and they love it.
And
some guys,
so they're at a course they can knock off, go to the range,
hit some balls, like have a round once a week.
They're there anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think that supers should play their golf course regularly?
Not necessarily. I think it's always probably a benefit because you get to see it from the golfer's perspective. But I think if you
over a 4-hour period rather than
drive around, But I think if you aren't a golfer, just putting yourself in that position to be able to see it from the golfer's perspective, and you get an understanding of when golfers comment to you, and you might be concerned about it, or I'm not sure why that is.
Over-worrying
you go and have a look
at
it and realise, that is an issue. We can look at that, and you start to learn where the golfer is coming from, and you start to get that information. So
because as much as you want to just do what you want to do, the golfers, they're the customer of you, totally. So you need to be listening to them.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where I think we all get really passionate about our patch of dirt. Some guys are just, and we are custodians of it. But
I think in behind closed doors, supers will unload, but they'd never.
Exactly. But some of them are really, really passionate, and they get offended by comments that are made by a golfer, and we all do.
Passing comment as well.
We all do, but I think sometimes we have to understand that we are there to provide a surface for them. Yeah. It's their course. Yep. We're just there maintaining it for them. And if there's enough groundswell to have a bunker filled in or whatever it might be, something trivial,
or a tree branch cut off because the oldies keep hitting it.
we need to learn. There's battles to fight, and some of them aren't. I think sometimes we get caught up in those little things. And
once you get to that superintendent level, you're not mowing lawn. You are dealing with
depending on what course. So some clubs can't afford. In my position at the level of club I am,
yours is management.
Yeah, it is management because I've got 15 staff.
Managing expectations of the board, the members, the
everything.
Staff.
Yeah, and the staffing is probably my biggest workload is staff. It's all sorts of stuff, with having that sort of staff and then having the expectations, but they're planning for their day-to-day work.
I've got a similar sized team. It's the annual leave, the sick leave, the personal troubles,
all that
this
stuff.
guy said that, we've run out of this, why do I have to do that? That's not
all that sort of stuff. So that's how I was saying before about how there's some clubs that have smaller staff and they feel like that it's different, but we have issues like everyone else. But ours are maybe different issues, and we've got more staff. But what comes with more staff are more headache.
I was going to say headaches. One of the questions I had written down for further into the conversation was what does a 15 staffed golf course do differently to a 4-person staffed golf course around what they can get to? So does it increase the quality of your greens, or is it just less weed maintenance, or where does it? What changes?
It's a hard one because it's funny. You go to some clubs that'll have 2 staff members, and the places are
well, that's
amazing.
like Murray
They're
Bridge.
incredible.
We did that walkthrough at Murray Bridge.
It's incredible.
I was blown away at like what they
do.
get done.
Yep.
And obviously Mal would have been working stupid hours. to get it
definitely.
done.
And that's the hard thing. So some members will go to a club and say, "These guys have only got 4 staff. Well, you know, why aren't we so much better? You know, than they are?" And it's like, you know, they talk about 1%ers. When you start getting larger numbers, it is the 1%
the stuff you don't really
and
notice.
And it is all the tree trimming or the vegetation that's opened up. It's the small 1% things that you don't notice as much, but if you're not doing them, they start to compound.
Well, you mentioned before, which I hadn't thought about, that you take care of, you know, the paths and the sheds and there's the bins and the chairs, like everything that's outside of those 4 walls, if you want to call it 4 walls, is your responsibility. You would notice it if the path started to deteriorate and your carts were jumping,
all those sort of things. And there's lots of stuff, you know, whether it be the amount of times we rake bunkers. So they're the things that on a club with less staff, that's the first thing that.
So the bunkers won't get raked every day.
No, they'll be raked maybe once, I don't know, but maybe once a fortnight. And we edge our bunkers are always edged as you know, every month or every sort of 3 or 4 weeks. The top, the grass,
from ingressing.
That, and we rake them probably 2 to 3 times a week. We broom them, so we do all sorts of stuff. So we're regularly maintaining, so that the club doesn't have that. It's in great condition now and it drops off, and great. It's always trying to be at the same consistent condition. So we try and present the course as we would do for any event.
I was going to ask that as well. What's the difference between the quality of the course for the Australian Open that you had recently and every day? Like, is there a ramp up? You know, like if it was for a bodybuilder, they would cut down to a certain weight before the comp. Like, do you have to try and have the grass at a certain level on the day? Yeah,
definitely. So you don't. Sometimes you'll peak too early. Some guys will get the course, and by the weekend before, it's exceptional. Then it tends to drop off. So you got to get the timing right. But it's more about. It really is about frequency of cut. It's about the amount of, ramping up from 6 month out. Then you get to 6 weeks out, you start to increase the amount of cutting you're doing. And
of the whole course, or just
the whole
greens?
course.
So the fairways, the greens, everything. So that's where your staff. You're ramping up.
Yeah, so we go from 14 staff to 32 staff.
Volunteers.
Volunteers. We get some casuals in, and then we get some volunteers from last year.
Other courses will jump in.
A couple from interstate and other courses. So they see it as an education as well.
Insane,
I hope they see it as an education. That some guys come over and they really love it because it's a lot of work, but it's also a bit of a social event.
I saw that we were at Kui. We did the barbecue, and you see everyone's like at long tables breaking bread together.
That's
and,
great.
Like,
From all different clubs.
And then it probably opens up opportunities for them potentially in the future. And
Totally. And some guys get a bit hooked on it about tournaments, and they want to know where
storm chasing. They're tournament chasing.
Yeah. So I had a couple of guys that are trying. I got one. My apprentice is heading over to Carnoustie to do the British Open, and he's going to St Andrews to do the Senior British Open, and he's going to do that in another month. He heads away.
And how does that fit in for you guys? Do you support that? Or
definitely.
You're on annual leave?
Definitely. He's taking leave.
So it's on him. But
he's taking leave for the 12 weeks. But we're going to, for the 2 weeks he's working at Carnoustie, we're going to pay him while he's over there.
Cool.
And then the rest of the time he's volunteering at St Andrews. He's on his own there.
Which encourages your guys to do it. But I mean, because obviously it's still a business. Like,
definitely. I can't just pay someone for 12 weeks where you go. Otherwise, every man is not going to be going, I'm going to pop over to America for 10 weeks
and work
pay me
at just a nothing.
Yeah. So while he's at the tournament, we'll pay him because it's a great experience for him. But it's also, we think we'll gain something from that. He'll come back motivated. He may come back in 2 years' time and leave us.
But also, if he becomes well qualified, it's more likely that he's going to stay on board with Royal.
Yes.
Rather than
But it also then he gains experience. He may leave and go back overseas, which is, if he wants to do that, excellent. I encourage him to do whatever.
You're not one of those guys that gets resentful.
No, because it might mean
you've
that
done your job as well.
But also might mean that in 4 years' time, my position might open up, and he comes back into that. You never know. So you better off getting those guys out there.
Well, you've seen that recently in the South Australian golf market. Guys have left to go to clubs interstate. And then a role has been advertised and they've moved back.
Yes.
That's not seen as a negative. They've just gone out and done this great experience. It's tough because you move your whole family and.
Definitely. So that's a good experience for him, and it's a great experience for us to have those guys do that. So for the tournaments, having those guys come in from other clubs, they see things from a different perspective, and a lot of guys would never get the opportunity to experience a tournament, and to have them back in Adelaide now is great. We haven't had them for a long time, so having
we're locked down for another 3 years.
Another 3 years, so it'll go back to Grange this coming February, then back to us, and then back to Kooyonga again.
So you've kept the same order.
They will do, yeah. As far as I know, because I know it's Grange next, it'll be the same order, I'm sure. So that'll come through. So it's really important that we have. Those events in Adelaide, because we need to showcase our world-class courses off, but also we need to give the opportunity for our staff or staff in Adelaide to be able to experience those things.
Have access to the the champion, the champion job. Like,
it's definitely. Then that's what you would hope that everyone would aim for, to have an opportunity to prepare.
Well, you want to put your
boots
boots on and go have like you've prepared for this match. Let's go do it. Like,
definitely. That's what it's about.
Because it's funny. I think about it in business a lot. We don't really have an opportunity to compete. Like, if you've got that competitive nature where you play weekly, or like the time starts now, the time stops now. Whoever gets the most points win. And for me in business, it's just like, well, whoever makes the most money or sells the most stuff. Like, there's only some kind of weird measurement. But for you guys, you need to have that.
And that's I suppose that's the pinnacle we have is televised event, and it's the Women's Open is the biggest prize money in Australia. It's the biggest. That's apart from your ones like your Presidents Cups and your World Cups. But
so it's the biggest prize money, men or women, in Australia for golf. And then obviously after that it's. The world,
So it's a part of that LPGA. So it's affiliated with the American Tour, and so last year when we had it at RA, we had 4 of the top 8 women in the world. Phenomenal field,
because it draws the players as well.
Phenomenal field.
I think not geographically, like, it's probably hard sometimes for them to get here, but I think a lot of those players want to come to Australia.
Definitely, and I think and then having it at good clubs encourages them. That's why they need to be having these events at high-end clubs rather than just clubs that pay the money. Because some clubs do have that. Some clubs are prepared to be a sponsor. They'll fund the event and get them out, and then, which is great because it gets events out. But I think
the players don't want to play.
No, not necessarily. The players want to play great tournament courses. So that's the excitement for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, to win at if you haven't got the best.
And you get these, and so that's where. So if you put in terms of, we had the top 4 of the top 8 in the world play. If you had that in the men, that'd be phenomenal. To have 4 of the top 8 players in the world playing in an event in Australia.
I think the Gold Coast. Sergio was coming for like no other names. I think Jason Day was there as well.
They pay huge amounts of money.
And people are like, "Oh my god, I'm flying to the Gold Coast to watch Sergio." Like one player of the top 5.
Exactly. If you had 4 of the top 8 turn up, phenomenal.
You'd have people flying in from everywhere.
So it's a great event. So hopefully we've got it for the 6 years.
It's good golf to watch as well. It's funny. There's so much. I mean, I'm a believer that the men and women should play under the same handicap system, and they should have the same tee blocks and all that. Because it's a handicapped game at that level, not at the at the high level. But I caddied for the women in the Astor Cup at Grange. Well, that would have been pretty due to go again, but about 4 years ago. And just like women golf, because they're driving a similar distance to
it's more relatable
to me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So now I'm learning more about golf and course management.
Whereas the men it's just next
like
level.
I'm not until I can hit 320 or 340, like, which is never.
You can't compare it.
I'm never going to play enough golf to get to that point.
So it's next. It's completely different to the average golfer. Whereas the good male golfers are equivalent to the great female golfers, as in the distance.
That's right.
You're hitting the ball and you're playing the hole as they
playing the same
would.
tee blocks. I remember them teeing off at the same tee block.
They hit off the whites pretty much. The men's distances.
So what's the most rewarding part of your job? Like, there's a lot involved. What do you go home at night about and go, I'm really happy that happened? Or
it's a bit of a difficult one for me. There's a couple of things. One of them is the day-to-day presentation of the course. So I'm lucky I live on the course, so I go for a walk at night time when the weather's nice. And it's beautiful. Walking around the course is great, but to have the course when it's looking great, or just sometimes it presents really well, and sometimes it's to do with the weather, and not so much the weather conditions, but just if the sunlight's right, whatever it might be. Some of that, it's getting photos, but I get a great feeling of when my staff are really, and I love seeing my staff get photos. If they're getting photos, it means they're proud of what they've done. So that really flows on, and they're happy to be there. So I suppose a couple of them, which is the way I see the course, and the way that if we can have an event and it's showcased really well, for example, the Women's Open, and the staff were so pleased and impressed with what they've presented. There's that part. That's a massive part, but also for the membership. The membership are really, they're a great bunch of people, and they're really
your membership.
They're a great inclusive club. If they're really, and some of them are really positive, and we don't get a lot of negative feedback, but when they come up and they'll give you a snippet of stuff that isn't just off the cuff, but a really in-depth discussion, and I explain to you how thankful they are for what the crew does for them and their course. That's what it's about. As I said before, we're custodians of their bit of land, and we can present it in the way that they're proud to say, I've brought some members down, and they could not
when it's
believe
real.
it.
Like, you get the bullshit. This was the best tournament we've ever
they
had.
had the same old feel all the time.
But this is like specific. This was a problem. You guys changed it.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those ones where they are proud to bring their friends, or they want to, and that's where it makes us really proud that we're happy. We present a course and we're presenting in a way that everyone else is thrilled. Then that's great.
I just wish I was good enough to enjoy the courses.
And
I'm fine driving around and looking at them, but
but it's funny though, because a lot of these guys play. Some guys play every day, but some guys play 2 or 3 times a week, and they aren't there. The golf at our club, golf is almost secondary. It's about
I get that. Yeah,
they want to be with their mates, and they hit the ball around, and they get it frustrated because they've lost the ball or it's in the rough, but they love it.
Yep.
They couldn't be, and they're really passionate about their club, and that's why the club's been around for 125 years, and it's still going really strong. So that's it's important.
What is the Royal branding? How does that come about? Like, how does a course become a Royal Adelaide or a Royal Melbourne? Do you know?
It used to. I think it's the same, but when you had to write a letter to the Queen or to the royal family and get them to sign it off and get them be able to use the name and the crown and
so this was being a 125-year-old course. There was
so this was done back in the 20s. They applied back in the 20s and they didn't allow it, and then they applied again and they got this. I think the Queen was coming out, and they did some more research and got another letter to, and it was approved. So that's where
it wasn't a Royal 125 years ago.
No,
it was a club, the Adelaide Golf Club.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called. It might have been called the Seton Golf Club. I'm not sure. So they tried and they got it the second time around, but I don't know how it works now.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it's still the same.
You'd assume there'd be a brand.
It still has to be. I'm sure there still has to be approval, but it seems it was originally the club, each club in each state, but then it's there's a few clubs now where there's a couple of Royals in.
Are there multiple Royals in one? So there are multiple Royals. There'd be like a Royal Melbourne or a Royal, not Geelong, but you could have another suburb.
I think so. Like I'm trying to think of ones out there.
It's all right. I thought I'd ask.
There's a few of them out there now.
I'll have to Google it.
But there's Royals all over the world, obviously. So and there's a bit of a club. They have.
Do they reciprocal each other? Is it not guaranteed? Or
no,
does it have
not
to be?
guaranteed. No, but they do reciprocal with a few of them. So because reciprocal rights are. It sounds a bit elitist, but it's got to be like for like.
I know it's not elitist. It's just
you've got you can't have a club that's at a certain level with their members paying a certain amount of money being reciprocal with a club that's paying $10 green fees because then people would join that club
it devalues,
and then come over for free. Exactly,
it's like
devalues your club. So you've got to have it so that our members want to join our club, knowing that they can play at other clubs in different states and all over the world
within point one. It's kind of
you can't have it the other way around. Otherwise, guys would join a small club in Melbourne and then come over and play over here for half the cost or for nothing. And so it's got to be like for like.
Do you have a lawn at home, or is your golf course your lawn?
No, I do have a lawn at home because
it's
Santa Ana. Yep. So Santa Ana, and I prepare it as I do the golf course. So because I've got the stuff there, although I get a bit in wintertime, I tend to let it go and it gets a bit scrappy, and then warms up. As soon as it gets to sort of spring, September, October, I cut it down and away I go. So
do you have a dog?
2 little dogs. Yeah, my wife has 2 little dogs.
My wife has a dog too. Do you have the same issues that everyday Joe has around dogs and the wee on their lawn?
Yeah, I do, but they're only small because they're small dogs. But they say, I don't know whether it's true. They say that I think it's female dogs are less of an issue than male dogs. So, and there's all these little things. You put rocks in the water.
Yeah, I've heard yogurt and stuff. I just thought, like, while you were here, obviously I produced the podcast to try and bring some value to landscapers, homeowners, turf enthusiasts, so I try and throw enough questions in there that can help people out. And obviously, there's been this explosion of lawn, like home lawn
enthusiasts.
And so they've all got questions, and we obviously get asked a lot of irrigation questions as part of the certain groups, but then there's always like, how do I stop the lawn dying when my dog's wee on it? And then everyone's talking about pre-emergence at the moment. Everyone's talking about PGRs 2 months ago or whatever. Have you ever seen anything like this in your time in the turf industry, in residential lawn having such a high profile?
No. And it's always been around. As in, there's always been guys
you've
that
had
have
members
exceptional lawns. Oh yeah, so some guy, and it's been 20 years. Some guys have just full on into it. But it's now getting to the point where it's becoming common.
It feels
now.
more accessible to to the 30-year-old men, not
Yes.
just, and I'd say men, and that's not sexist. I've got Facebook data.
Yes.
The majority of the people that are engaging in lawn are 25 to 45-year-old males. So
Yes.
yeah, it's I've just seen it go crazy, but obviously I've only been in the market 10 or 12 years.
It has gone crazy, and I think which is great for everyone. I think it's great for not so much the environment, but it's great for people to get out there and be actively
people are outside.
presenting their front lawn. And I think you drive through streets now where if you have people who've got dead lawns and the front yards are scrappy, or you go down a street where everyone's got, and it becomes contagious.
Well,
if old mate next door's got a good lawn, you feel a bit of pressure to get your lawn going, and it starts to swell. And I think it creates value in your property if your street's got great appeal because everyone's got great lawns in it. And I'm biased. I think lawn is the best advertisement for a property. If you walk into a house and it's got, you can see how real estate agents do it.
They colour the photos.
I know. You think, that looks great.
Yeah, then you rock up, you're like,
hang on, it's not the same place. So lawn, and they do, and I see landscapers now, and they'll have a patch in the corner where they'll have TV shows and a little patch of grass in the corner, and I think
it just ticks the box. Why even worry about it?
I know. I think you're missing the point. If you can get, having an amazing landscape's exceptional. But grass sets it off, I think, anyway.
It's also, there's so many other things around it. It's cooling and it's therapeutic, and you can roll on it. And you can.
And there's synthetic grass out there, which looks great as well, but I wouldn't want to have synthetic grass because it's so hot.
Yeah, and you can't water stuff through it.
You still got to spray it because it's full of weeds, and then you're spraying a product that doesn't break the chemical down, then kids are running around on plastic that's got chemical
on it. You pick it up, you're never washing it through. There's no.
I think there's issues in that. So, and I'm biased.
Not to mention the environmental issues of what happens when it gets ripped out. And what happens when you're making it. And what happens when you're shipping it from China, the fuel. And
all that stuff happens.
But I'm an irrigation shop, so I'm biased.
Yeah, so
and you're a turfy.
Yeah. But I think it has taken off, and I think it's good that there is. I don't do Facebook. I don't know if there's the lawn porn, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. I think it's really exciting as long as there's the right information out there. Some guys
that's where I was going to go. Like obviously, anyone. It's like anyone can register a business. Anyone can have a child. Anyone can. It doesn't mean that you necessarily are ready to do that.
Yeah.
What do you see as, I guess, if you were advising the homeowner, what are the minimums that a lawn needs to get it to an 8 out of 10?
I think quality of grass or breed is one thing, and I think I'm biased. I think Cooch is the best grass. Kaiku is so invasive, and it can be, it's an exceptional surface, but it can be so invasive and so aggressive. So you got to maintain it. You got to do a lot more aggressive renovations on it. Yeah, it can be full on. Yeah. Then you got your cool season grasses, which can look exceptional as well, and they strop.
You mean
up
like a fescue?
Fescue or ryegrass,
like it's seeded. So once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a cool season grass. So looks exceptional during winter, and it can stripe up and be green. Looks fantastic and lush. Looks amazing. But the amount of water that needs to be maintained with is astronomical compared to a warm season grass. So you got your Cooch.
So choose your right variety.
Yep. So choose your right variety because I think you want to go with a warm season, particularly in SA. Warm season variety, definitely.
And what? Oversow it through the winter
if you wanted to. If you really can, you put an oversow it, and then. But the problem if you oversow it with ryegrass,
it's there.
You'll end up having no Cooch left because your ryegrass will kill the Cooch. Yeah. So you look at ovals now that are ryegrass Cooch base. Within 4 years, it's just ryegrass. Ryegrass has a.
Is that manageable? Like in the warmer seasons?
Ryegrass, it is. It's got to pump because it's cool season grass. You're trying to get it to grow.
So you want to buy a really good irrigation system.
Yeah. So and that's the other part of it. So that for me, it's grass variety, and then it's an irrigation system is paramount because. Unless you want to spend and some guys love it. Unless you want to spend all day out there with a hand watering hose.
If you've got the time, how many hectares are you watering? You probably don't have the.
We water 28.
You probably don't have the time to water your own lawn.
We hand water a bit on greens, but other than that, it's all
that's
automated.
Spot watering where required.
Yeah, and it's a different scenario on greens, but so you want to have a good system, or unless you want to hand water a lot. But for me, but it's also about the right input. So some guys just go to Bunnings and buy the rubbish.
Just dump, but very chemical heavy, like it's not organic.
Rubbish. Yeah. And you're paying diluted for it. You're paying $25 for 5 kilos. We can go to a lawn supply company or a fertiliser supply company.
Or a growing supplier or
whatever it might be.
What do you call it, like those fodder shops or whatever.
Yeah, and even the fodder shops can get a bit, some of them may have some good stuff. A lot of them are very salt based. But if you went to a turf specialist that will have a bag of fertiliser that would for 25 kilos might cost last him 3 years, might cost him $40.
Yeah.
And it's slow release, you haven't got a flush of growth.
Because all the chemicals are the same.
Yeah.
Like it's just branding that changes things.
And different ratios, and some of them last longer than some, rather than being up front, they're a slow release product. So if you're putting that out, you're not getting. So people will go put a heap out and green it up, but then you got to cut it every second day. But then what happens with that is you create organic matter, then it'll build up in thatch, and then you might get water penetration. And there's a lot of issues with that. So slow spoon feeding or putting a slow release fertilizer out.
So the slow release fertilizer will do it, obviously, like the wax coated or the poly coated balls
all
or
different.
whatever.
Yeah, they're all different ways of doing it. Yep.
So, but choose the right variety firstly, in your opinion, Coach. So Santarana, Winter Greens.
Yeah,
those
Winter
kind of
Greens
things.
are a great one. Yeah, but usually whatever's the turf farms have, which most of them have Santana because it's like the most
do you think
common.
it's necessary to buy turf that's been grown locally? Obviously, transport wise,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
it's
if you
grown
can
in this kind of environment.
Yeah, I think if you can, and I think if some guys have accessibility to golf clubs, sometimes you can do it vegetatively. So rather than laying turf down, you could actually rip your lawn up, rotary hoe it, get a heap of scarifiers from a golf club that's renovating a fairway because they want to give them away. They'll just bury them, put them on the ground, rotary hoe it in, water it. Within 10 weeks, you'll have pure surface, and it's cost you nothing.
Oh, I'm doing that.
So that's what. So whereas
because I've got a lot of lawn to do at home.
Well, that's what.
That's
what you want, and that's how golf clubs build fairways. They don't. Rarely do they turf because if you turf the fairway, it costs you probably $70,000 or $80,000. It's a lot cheaper to get it for free, and
you've got the knowledge to do it.
Yeah,
so just do it.
Yeah, and again, you need a watering system to keep it damp. Once it takes root, then you're away.
So water, turf variety, and the inputs.
Yep.
Now, obviously, that can be what your recommendation would be to just be sensible about when you're buying your inputs. Around choosing products that are the best value for money for you,
and go to specialists. Don't go to the backyard.
Don't buy, so
just
hardware shops.
Don't go to hardware shops. Hardware shops sell wooden nails. Go to a turf specialist. Yep. And there's plenty of them. Adelaide's got plenty of them.
Yeah, there's obviously turf resellers, there's turf farms, and then you've obviously got all the fertilizer distributors that. Yep. I mean, they're not necessarily always open to the public, but if you really want to, you'll get to them.
They'll supply them. Yep, definitely. So there's that ability, but one other factor is wetting agent.
Yep.
Wetting agent is
underestimated
massively.
Yep.
So people will tell me all the time, "Oh, my lawn's no good; it's dried off." I'm putting heaps of water on it, and you'll explain, is it water beat off? Yeah, it just beats off. It's because it gets hydrophobic, and that's caused through thatch build up. But if you put wetting agent out, most problems disappear because all of a sudden the plant builds it up.
Is the coring and a part of that, to try and reduce the hydrophobic nature of the soil?
Pulling some of that thatch out, but it really is a wetting agent. So a lot of people will say, as I said before, they'll water and they're putting fertilizer out and getting no response because if you haven't got any water in the profile, then your plant won't take anything up. It's got to have moisture, or got to be taking up moisture out of the profile to bring up fertilizer. So
the wetting agent is probably one of the most diluted things if you go into the wrong shop. Like that's yeah. And again, you can buy drums of it from resale or from turf specialists, which isn't a lot of money. If you bought a 20-litre drum, but it would last you 6 years. It might cost you $100. So, and if you've got few guys that in their lawn, you go buy one and you
break it up.
You can split there's obviously certain rulings around splitting certain chemicals up. There'd be some stuff that you can do with a friend, and there's some
but if you're buying yourself and
that's your business.
Your brother and your brother's mate, just divvy it up, whatever it might be. But there's ways of just getting that product out there because that's easy to put out just through your little spray or even put the old weed and feed container, those sort of things. But I think getting that wetting agent is important.
And that's probably the least considered product.
People no one thinks about it. They think I've put water out and fertilizer. Why isn't it growing? And that's one of the things. That's the main reason.
Have you found that the start of these groups and the growth of these groups have affected the expectations around your ability to produce a course to a certain level, or you're not at your course?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the home lawn guys affecting the expectation. I think the internet affects our expectation. So we call it the Augusta syndrome. So where golfers turn up and they expect it to be bright green and immaculate.
Because on that one
because that's
day,
what they see.
They also, they close Augusta for months leading into it.
Oh, they've closed for 6 months a year when it's wet and cold. They close the course and they open it up. No one plays it. But any course
you can't use that as an example.
But any course they see on TV is in tournament preparation.
That's
so
right.
They don't just turn up at Bill Smith's golf course and video it. It's so particularly in America, they spend mega dollars on a course to prep it up for a tournament. Doesn't matter what tournament it is, huge amounts of money. So the issue, they all see it in pristine condition. So
even to the point of I've heard stories of them putting dry ice around the root zones of plants so they flower on the day. It's all time,
especially in Augusta. But so there's that issue to the TV, but also it's easy for a member now to, for example, we're really having big issues on power control and fairways, and we're having big trouble with that. So members get on the internet and just look up how to control power out of cooch. There's the answer.
Print it out
say,
for you.
why are you putting that out?
Done your job for you, mate.
I am. I'm not getting the result. They
Yeah.
look at you like, well, the internet says you just need to put this out.
Yeah.
So that's a dangerous tool as well. A little bit of knowledge
Is dangerous,
dangerous. So but for us, it's about educating the members on what we're doing and why.
Yep.
And that way we try and
Do you have a good communication network back into the membership for that? Or
I do.
Do you send out an email? Or
Yeah, so the committee that I have is exceptional.
Yep.
And the committee understands that they employ me to do my role, and they're going to support that. And then, so I have no correspondence from members. So members don't call me up or email me. It doesn't happen. It goes to the committee, and the committee
which is the right chain,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, otherwise
If I listen to every email come in from every member, I'll be doing
that's all you do,
and I'd be going around in circles.
Yeah.
So they get the email or letter and go, it's not worth the discussion. Okay, we'll bring it up. We'll have a look at it, and we'll see whether it's worth talking about. So there's that sort of part of it, but I don't get too many comments. I get comments, but I don't get correspondence from members. So the membership is really strong on, the committee is really strong on communicating to members. So if we've got an issue, we'll put a letter together in a newsletter that'll go out or on the website, just so the membership know what we're doing or why we're doing it or what the issue is. So that's what they're a great supportive club for that reason.
The POA situation would POA be, I guess, the biggest problem that you deal with?
Yep.
Like that's the cancer of
turf.
golf,
of golf
course. Is it a big deal in stadium court, like as much as?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you see a lot of stadiums that do a lot of, and the problem is there's two parts to it. One of it is POA in bent grass. So we're growing a cool season grass, which is the bent grass, and we've got POA, which is a cool season grass as well. There's no selective herbicide that controls.
So if you kill one, you kill them both.
Well, what we're trying to do is kill one more than the other to a certain extent. So the chemicals we use will affect both, definitely, but we're trying to affect one more than the other, and that's by different rates and different timings and mixing with different fertilisers and that sort of stuff. So if you get it
at the right time, like pre-emergent style?
Not pre-emergent, because pre-emergent
on spraying when it's...
Yeah, so pre-emergent on greens, pre-emergent's a root pruner. So a lot of guys, you can put light rates. Some guys are trialling light rates of pre-emergence and with reasonable results, but it can be a bit of a root pruner. So the issue we have is we can't go out there and spray. Just have a silver bullet, spray the green and kill the POA, because it doesn't happen. And even the chemicals that are out, people damage bent grass for whatever reason. One, I'll spray 6 holes and not having damage, spray the next six holes.
Because it's a living thing.
It is.
I mean, it's probably like a bad example. I guess the only example I can think of, like giving chemotherapy to a cancer patient. Some people it will survive, and some people it won't.
It varies, and there's so many variances in there. So if you're spraying a green, you might have really good result on a part of the green, the other part not, because it could be one green. What part of the green could be slightly shaded, or it might get more wind on one half,
or the soil profile,
which could be affecting the root development of that bent grass, which means it's stronger, which means that it can doesn't get affected by the chemical as much. There's so many different variations in variables out there for POA control. So that's one of the issues. The other issue is POA control in couch grass. So couch grass, 10 years ago, we just went and sprayed it and knocked the POA out. But POA is a self-pollinating plant. So if you went and sprayed your farrow with a post-emergent to control the POA, you might have 1,000 plants, and you spray it, and you only have to have one plant that's mutated and resistant to that chemical. So then all the other plants are dead. That's one lone plant. It can self-pollinate itself. So it has 100 seeds that are an exact replica of that parent plant, and now they got 100 plants. So when you get next year, you go to spray it, the 100 plants don't die, and then you got
10,000 plants,
and then within 3 years you got hundreds of thousands of plants. So the seed bank that POA has is out of control. It's mad the amount of seed that is produced by POA.
So the chemical companies have to be. This would be one of their
key
research
areas.
It is,
but it's so POA and ryegrass are the two biggest issues in the world for chemical resistant weeds as POA and ryegrass. So we don't have too much of an issue with ryegrass in Australia, but POA is massive. So people are putting out pre-emergence and post-emergence with very little control, and the members are seeing it going, and it's getting worse and worse every year.
There's money coming out of the clubs for this as well.
We're spending money, and they're like, so that's when they go to the internet and look, they search on the internet and say,
I'm a researcher.
So why aren't you spraying tribute? Well, I do spray tribute, but I'm not getting the result that I think I need.
So
that's an issue we have with the guy getting home on Googling.
So it's not so much the mum and dad that they've got a nice lawn, and then they're going, well, how come you can't make your green as nice as my lawn?
It's they think they understand, and I think they're trying to help out, but That's why we try and give them, and that's why we try and get to our club information on what we're doing,
Yeah,
and why
and
we're doing it, so
Nathan's
they know.
just done 3 days of training on
Yes,
power. It's okay. He's got it covered.
Definitely,
It's just not working.
It's not working,
Yeah.
and these are the reasons. So we've got guys that are doing. There's a weed specialist in Adelaide. He's at Adelaide Uni. He's doing research for the industry on different chemicals on the power plants. We've collected power plants from 4 states, and he's got them growing and spraying them and getting results, and it's phenomenal. The resistance out there to all the chemicals we're using is crazy.
It is really like in
Roundup.
cancer, isn't it? Because when you think you've got it, I don't know if it was AIDS or it morphs.
Yeah,
like
it does.
so just when you've beaten it, that strain of it, then there's a new.
Because you only have to have one plant that doesn't get affected and away it goes. So we'll spray greens with a control or with a regulator, and you look at it and it'll all start yellowing off, and there'll be 4 or 5 plants in that area that's yellowed off that are just almost feeding off the chemical.
You almost want to get those ones.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah, they're just phenomenal how they just green up and away they go. So it's an incredible plant that normally grows at probably a foot tall or half to a foot tall, and seeds at that height. And we're cutting greens at 2.8 mil,
off of it.
and it still seeds. It seeds at 2.8 mil. So it's so adaptive. It's phenomenal.
It'd be good if you could work out if was a use for good for it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But
like make clothes out of it.
Yeah, so that's the issue we have with. There's some great golf clubs in Australia, and some of the best golf clubs in the world are Poa. Poa greens and Kikuyu fairways.
Yeah.
But it's the perception of the golfer that if he sees Poa on the green, its greens are full of Poa. And then, for me, it's about turf surface for starters. It's got to be a good surface. Yeah. Then if we can eradicate the Poa, because
I think we talked about this in WA when we were at
Margaret River, or
I went further up at was it Idris's course?
Yeah, WA Golf Club. Yep.
Yeah, he was. They had it, and they were kind of like, look, that we'll deal with that.
Yeah,
it's really about just getting the service.
Yeah, the service for me, it's a service is number one, because I don't believe we should be controlling Poa to the detriment of the surface,
like
which is the members.
Crevices.
But it's bumpy, and then we've lost turf, and we need to do it softly. So the members have got a playing surface all year round. If we can control the Poa slowly over a 5-year period, that's the way I want to do it. I don't want to go bang and knock it out. I can't, but if I wanted to.
Well, if you were going to, you cut it out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And build a whole new green, but then
guys do.
Guys
rebuild greens because of the Poa is so infested, and that's huge costs of it.
I was going to ask you what the most challenging part of your job is. I'm guessing that's the answer.
Yeah, Poa and staff. Staff are probably the most challenging. Poa is always there, but staff are the ones that
they vary more. At least with Poa, you know what you're going to get. It's going to keep punching you in the face.
Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those. That's always the underlying tackle or thing we've got to tackle. But staff is one of the concerns we have. It's just difficult to. It's not difficult. It's just always happening. You're dealing with. For me, dealing with 15 staff that are just, they vary, and got to treat them all differently.
Yep.
The old mentality used to be just treat everyone the same. You can't do that these days. Some guys don't like being spoken to a certain way. Some guys need to be spoken to a certain way. So whatever it might be, but it's difficult.
Everyone's motivated differently. Yep. Some are money, some are public recognition.
Yes, all that stuff.
Some it's a schnitzel and everything.
Working them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of talk around golf dying as a sport, and whether or not it's true or not. Obviously, there's clubs that are getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and selling land and trying to then sell water rights and whatever else. Do you see it as on a decline, and where do you see golf being in the next 15 or 20 years, and what are clubs going to have to do to survive, and will there be the same amount of clubs in 20 years?
I don't think there'll be the same amount of clubs. I think some clubs need to understand that it's in their best interest to actually look at trying to get together. Some clubs in Melbourne have done it.
So amalgamate 2 memberships?
Yeah, and it's worked beautifully. So unfortunately, one club's going to disappear.
There's pride.
But that's what stops it. Yeah. Because one club, instead of having 2 clubs that are struggling for the next 20 years, if one club went to the other club, or that they merge together, so they become one at the
even
best bit of land.
Dual name, whatever it is.
At the best bit of land. And you can imagine what if you sold a parcel of land off, and what that would
in
make.
The metro area,
you could be looking at $50 to $60 million for a parcel of land. Can you imagine injecting that into one club and having all those members go over there? Be exceptional.
Well, even putting that $50 million in, you'd put it in an investment fund. You never touch it.
Oh yeah, and we'd see your club out for life. Yeah, so that's happening. Melbourne a few clubs in Melbourne have done it, and it's working beautifully. They're going to be world class clubs when they're finished doing their development.
So the membership's going to get a better surface, or a better club,
better course, better clubhouse, better facility, world class facility, and be different if some clubs have so many. if a club has so many players that they couldn't fit them both on one course, then they probably shouldn't be struggling.
Yeah, so
if they're
like
having,
courses like Teacher Gully, I mean Matt's a member there. They've got like 4 tee times on
Yeah.
it. Like they're pumping.
Yeah. So they're surviving. They don't need it.
Yeah, well, they're thriving, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
But the club that's got not many players coming in, well then
the one up the road from that would be say Paracombe. It's a different kind of club.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of land.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if it's a similar example nearby like Kenton Valley or Cuddly Creek. Like they're not at the same level, but.
Yeah, but just being able
put
to
the two memberships together.
Totally.
Yeah, okay.
So there's that part of it, but I think they talk about golf numbers declining. I think what they're talking about is golf memberships are declining.
So people are just paying to play. No one sees the need to be a $5,000 a year member of a club.
And they'll join a club, but a club, it's not a golf club. They'll join the Bill Smith Happy Golfers Club, which is just they meet at the pub once a month.
My mates play for the Redbacks.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's very inexpensive. It's a social club. They play at 6 or 8 courses a year.
And people are doing that because they get to play other clubs. Yeah. So instead of joining one club and that's their club, they'll join a group or a golf club. It's not a golf course. They'll join a golf club and because they might have 30 members in that thing, they'll call up a club and say, we come down next Saturday afternoon or Sunday. We're bringing 30 people down. What deal can we get? Yeah. And the club goes, you get $3,000. No worries. It sort of works. For and against, so it's an opportunity for we're getting more. I think we are getting more golfers. I think golf numbers are increasing.
Well, you'd see it. I mean, you'd know your team. I mean, we're getting different.
Because we're getting more and more golfers.
So more and more golfers. You allow walk-ins?
No, we can't. Don't have walk-ins.
Private golf club.
Yeah, it's private. But we have a lot of more guests that come from interstate or overseas. We're a golf, and even our members are playing more now. People understand that if you're paying that sort of money,
you might as well use it.
You want to use it. I think the pressure from the other half saying, well, if we're paying this amount of money, are you playing golf or not? So it used to be you just join up and be a part of the club. But so I think there's two parts to that. Clubs allowing those groups in is important because that's where they're making money from. But because they're allowing it to happen, it allows people not to join their club. They might as well join another. They might as well join that external club that's going to play everywhere. So it's there's pros and cons to it.
Do you see the fact that golf takes 4 hours and 20 minutes as an issue?
Yeah,
that's an issue as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it's an issue for the 20 to 50-year-olds. The 65-year-olds, they're semi-retired. They want to play golf,
breakfast, golf, lunch,
enjoy themselves. So I think there needs to be more of a push for more 9-hole comps, and even people are talking about 6-hole comps.
You know, we talk about the pride of a golf course. It's such a proud thing. It's an old gentleman's style sport with collared shirts and everything else. To then go, but we're going to change how it's played. Everyone's like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
What 6 holes?
But I think that it's moving. I think you can get your handicap now through 9 holes. You can do a couple of 9 holes and get. So there's.
Well, you can play 9-hole competitions.
Yeah, so it's changing. So I think eventually it'll become 6-hole comps where people can turn up and play 6 holes in the morning and shoot off to work.
Yeah,
you can't. No one get.
That would be good for my attention span.
Yeah, 6 holes, get it done and get out. So if you did, and you might have it so you can play 6 holes, you can play it over and you can play 18 holes, but over 3 6-hole rounds. I don't know, but
that's what they do with the 9s. I guess they play. I know Matt was doing a twilight comp with Teacher Gully where they play 9 then the 9.
Yep.
And you can get your 18 handicap off 2 9s.
Off 2 9s. So I think that's where it needs to be, and it's important.
So someone's going to need to champion that. Yeah, like it's going to come down
happening. It's happening because they understand that that's a worldwide issue. That it's about time. It's about speed of play. They've even done research, which we were a part of last year, where they got us to we GPSed all our golfers. All the golfers that played took a little GPS out with them, and we had the greens at a certain speed, and they timed the round of golf, and then we had the greens at a different speed.
So you're trying to efficient.
This is from the R&A. So they got that. This is a worldwide study to try and work out whether the speed of green
down to 3.5 hours.
The speed of greens affecting the speed of play. Whether having fast greens mean the golf goes for 4 hours, having slow greens it goes for 3 hours, or vice versa. So all that research about having. Trying to work out ways of making the game quicker,
and then having a standard around what's the meter called? Where you roll the ball and
a speed test or a stimp meter for speed. Yep. So and not necessarily would you have them tell you this is what your speed needs to be, but if they want to have that just means that if we have the greens fast, we know that the rounds can be longer or shorter depending on what it is.
Yeah, and then you can allow your booking time.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's just about good management
of the course. So I think that's important that those studies are happening, and I think having ready golf and encouraging ready golf and getting it moving.
Which you don't. It's traditionalism again, isn't it?
No, and some of the older guys or the older members don't like to do it, or that's not how they play it. But the younger ones are.
We do, man. I'm running. Yeah. I'm really conscious when I'm playing a golf. Like more to the point, Like I'm overconscious.
Yes,
and I worry about the players around me.
No swing. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I practice swing sort of out the door.
Yeah.
Get up, hit the ball,
Yeah.
because I don't want to hold the guys up behind me.
I feel bad, but you shouldn't. Everyone's like, no, you paid. You're a member. You know, it's just that.
Yeah. It's
you
about
paid,
keeping
you paid your fees. You've got the right to be as much as anyone else.
Keeping with the group in front, but it's important to have that balance of.
So you see that'll change. I mean,
it
one of my
will
questions
change.
is, do you see that over the next 20 years, golf's going to change? It has to change. Yeah.
Well, for example, they're building like 9-hole. They're building 9-hole golf courses now. So
and that won't be to play 18, like to go around twice.
No,
there
it
won't
is
be multiple teams.
No, it is. So
teams.
Renaissance have built one in Michigan. So Renaissance Golf, who Tom Doak. So he's built one in. It's called the Loop, and they have. Nine holes, but 18 greens.
Yep.
But it's completely different.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
That's really cool.
So you play the course backwards. So there'll be green at each either end of the hole. So you play the course one way.
So they have to manage their tee times and
they have a red loop and a black loop,
Yep.
and I think I actually don't know how it works. I'd love to get over there and have a look. But I don't know how. No, they're not playing the same time. I think they might play in the morning, or they might play at a certain. I don't know how it works.
That's cool.
So
and that's someone
the sort of
thinking
thing
outside the square, and it'll become cool.
When you think about the amount of maintenance is halved because you've only got 9 fairways. The amount of bunkers is halved.
What maintenance divided by 2 plus 9 greens.
Yeah, so you got more. It's the same amount of greens, but everything else is been halved.
Yep.
So
less cost, less irrigation. That's not really great. But
so that's where I think it needs to happen. So clubs need to understand that that's where it needs to be. We're becoming smarter, and I think having guys like Tom Doak doing it is massive
because people are watching.
He's world leader in course design and architecture. They'll look at that and go, "If Tom thinks it's a good idea, then maybe we should be looking at that."
Do you get involved in design? It's one of the questions I had further into my list. Like, do you just leave golf course design to the golf course designers and just construct it? Like,
I do, a little bit. So I don't get involved in design. I have ideas in
because you're familiar with the course.
Yeah, and what we should try and do, whether it be cutting lines or altering some mounds or bunkering, whatever it might be. So, but I'm not the one to go to the club and say we need to change this
person, bring them in. Yeah.
We've got an idea. What do you think? If they like the idea, then we'll go to Renaissance or Renaissance Golf, who are our designers, and say, what do you guys think? Send some photos. They might go, yep, great idea, go for it, or let's leave it until we come out and have a look, or we'll do that when we're there. So, but I'm really keen to make sure that we're still progressive and we're still keeping up with times.
Because it'd be easy just to leave it there. That tree's there, that bunker's there.
Exactly. Looking at and often you'll say to the designer, and they'll go, "That's a good idea," or "Nah, let's leave that." But
you're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, they'll have an opinion. That's a great idea. Let's go for it. Sometimes it's easier for them to bring it up rather than me bring it up because I don't want to be. I'm not a course designer, and I don't pretend to be. But
you're there to
make
sure that it stays.
An opinion of I have an opinion of what needs to happen, and I'm not. I don't see it from a golfer's perspective. I just see it from a design aspect and also a maintenance and playability aspect. I think it's important that 15 years ago, golf clubs, a lot of them were designed for championships, and they're designed to beat people up, and that's not what golf courses should be, because no one wants to go out and play a golf course and come back and just be shattered every time
I
feel like
that on the easy courses.
So golf courses need to be designed to impact the better golfer and less impact the average golfer, because his ability is what's impacting him.
Yeah, that's right. So you bridge the gap.
Yeah, so make sure that the average golfer it doesn't get caught in every bunker. He wants to be landing short of the bunker. The bunker needs to be targeting the better golfer because he's the one that needs to be.
Yeah, so he has the ability at 200 and X meters out.
He has the ability to control his ball to go left or right. The average punter, a 27 handicapper, isn't controlling the ball. He's just hitting it forward.
Yeah, well, you see that. I mean, I never used to understand it, but now you go out there now and you're like, so that bunker, I've got my I'm an idiot because I've got a distance meter, but I can't actually. It doesn't mean anything. So I'm looking at it. I'm going, that bunker's my drive away.
Yep.
If I could hit it straight.
Yep.
Or Matt's drive away because he can't hit it straight. Now I understand they've put it there to catch people, or there's a water. They've moved the creek to this distance from the tee block.
There's always it's all about risk reward.
Yeah.
So they put a bunker there because that's the best line into the green.
Yep.
So they want you to get as close as you can to the bunker. Because if you land a meter from the bunker, that's the best line into the next shot in.
You're going to be birdie.
Yeah. But if you take it easy and go, I'm going to hit to the right and get away from it, then your next shot isn't as easy.
Yeah.
That's how it's designed.
If you could change anything about golf or player culture on the course, would you change anything, and if so, what would it be? Like, is there a and this might be your opinion across golf in general.
Yep. There's probably a couple of things to that. One of them, the golfer, I think it's always been good golf etiquette. It used to be, fixing pitch marks and divots and
sanding,
rags. Yeah, all that stuff. That seems to be lost, particularly the younger generation, like the 15 to 22-year-olds. We have junior events and they butcher the place.
So you'll see that. So you have an event for a junior versus an event for a senior
guys.
Men.
Yep.
you can tell.
Talk and oh yeah, totally. And our members
What about
see it.
women? Does that change? Like a women's event? Is that more? Or it's age based.
It's age based more than anything. So I think they just
and at tournament level, they're not fixing their pitch. Well, they would, wouldn't they?
A tournament,
some
yeah.
of them do.
Oh yeah, because not my, we never
you
never
can't
fix,
touch it. Yeah,
no, and we don't fix them.
Yeah.
I deliberately do not fix pitch marks because if I started fixing pitch marks, then it would just I have to send 2 guys all day doing it.
Yeah.
So just the attitude of
we've paid our membership, or this is not our
that's
job.
Not my job.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my job, and it doesn't affect me.
No.
Well, if I don't putt the ball from where it is to the hole.
Yeah.
If it bounces through a pitch mark, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, okay.
So that's one of the issues. The other issue is majority of members are really appreciative of what we do.
Yep.
But some members, some golfers, and I think sometimes
like if you're out mowing, or
I think they're just in the zone. They're playing
you're
golf,
in the way.
and they just and they look at us as if, what are you guys? You're in my way. You're annoying me. You're like, but if we weren't here, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
We've got to be here.
We can't mow in the dark.
Exactly. We can't. We have a life too. We can't be here at ridiculous hours doing the work, and we need to be here during the day for other reasons.
So it's really just a general respect.
Yeah, I think so. And that's a bit of a broad statement because there's not many of them like that. Majority of them are excellent, and the majority of the members I come across are so thankful.
Yeah.
But a lot of them take it for granted and just the superintendent or the ground staff.
They'll deal with it.
Yeah, just that's their
Stepping
problem.
over a piece of rubbish, or,
can you pick that up for me, or something's happened, and just a flippant conversation.
Yep.
So
look, and it's not not your course. I've played a lot of courses, and I speak to a lot of supers. And everywhere you play, there's always the fact that you have to put a sign out that says today the 9th green is the one where you actually let's all chip in and fix our pitches. Like, you shouldn't have to put a sign out like that.
Yeah. So and that's probably one of the things that I think would be a benefit. Just the course etiquette and course. And I think that's a lost a bit, and that's society. That things have changed.
Well, people taking off their hat when they shake hands and making eye contact. And
it's all changed now. So people just. And it isn't enforced. And
we're so busy to get to the next thing.
And the little rule used to be the lowest handicap was the head of the group. So the lowest handicap was the guy that moved them on and was control the group.
Because they should understand golf etiquette.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
That stuff disappears. So
that's why I was so happy for my son to play golf. Was the etiquette that came with it. The fact that a 5-year-old or an 8, maybe not a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old can be playing golf with a 50-year-old and a 70-year-old.
Yeah.
And those guys are now responsible for helping that kid learn about being a man.
Yeah.
And it's not just a man thing, but about being a better adult.
Yeah, it is etiquette.
And shaking hands and letting them go first and helping
being quiet during a shot, all that stuff.
That,
There's no sledging, there's none of that. No. And I was talking to my daughter about it the other day. She's doing a project about golf. It's about one of the only sports in the world that's self-regulated. There's no umpire out there.
Yeah.
You are making sure there's no cheating. You can't, if you're a cheat in golf,
you're
that's
dead.
Shameful.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So people, self-regulating, self-umpiring themselves,
Yeah.
which is exceptional. It isn't about just trying to get one up. It's about I can't hit my ball. I can't. If I take a drop from there, I've got to get a penalty, or all those sorts of things. So
you
it's
still
important.
See a fair bit of it though.
Yeah, no, but it's still it's
the most
upon.
protected. Yeah. So most. Plenty of people go to a golf course to relax.
Yep.
Well, do you, or do you have a hobby outside of this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do to?
Well, I've got kids, 2 kids.
Okay, so that's a hobby. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm into cars. I'm building a hot rod, so I like getting into my shed and tinker around with that. So that's always good fun. So that gets me, and that's completely different. So even though I'm on site, I try to make sure I make the effort of when I get home, I don't get home and think about work.
Yep.
So I really enjoy living where I live because it's a great spot, great house.
It's reduced your transit, hasn't it?
I've got no transit. I put my golf cart, open the gates up, drive out on the golf course. So I can go for a walk at night. If I've got sprinklers going, I'll say to the guys, leave the sprinklers on, I'll come out and I'll move them or turn them off later on.
Which is nice for them.
Yeah, easy for me. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to drive in. I can go for a walk at night time. It's a hot day, a 40-degree day. I can go out to make sure the sprinklers are up. If the sprinklers are up, I can go to bed now and sleep easy, not worrying about things not working.
Yeah,
so,
which gives you a better sleep.
It
it's
does.
Funny, you've had to go back to work, but
But I literally walk out the back gate, I can see sprinklers up. So it's just those little things. So, but I make sure there's a conscious effort that, particularly in winter, but I don't, once I get home from work, I'm not thinking about it and looking at it. I just lock myself in,
at the moment to
get
switch
away.
off when I get home from work. It's probably the thing I need to focus on for the next couple of months is just
it's difficult to do.
Away.
But and that's where I don't get caught up in it. But again, having such a supportive club, they don't expect me there to be there 24 hours a day.
No.
But I expect if something goes wrong, I'm there, and that's why I like being there. And
well, that's all part of the job,
package,
isn't it? Do you take notice of the rankings of golf courses by certain magazines or whatever? Do you care?
Not really, because a lot of them are biased.
Yep.
You know, a lot of them is depending on how much money they spend on advertisement
Yep.
and all that sort of stuff. So, unfortunately, though, membership does,
Yeah.
and it's important. So
When they see the green arrow pointing
yeah,
up
when
and
you've
the red arrow
come up a
pointing
ranking,
down,
they're
yeah.
all high-fiving each other and they're coming past. They're very positive, and you drop a number. Why have we dropped? Why has that club come up? Or there'll be that discussion. I played there 6 months ago. That was terrible. Why the heck could that be up? You know. So there's always that.
Yep.
It's never correct, but it's very biased because a lot of clubs will.
Yep.
They don't pay people off. But
No,
a lot
no,
of clubs
no.
will get people in,
But
and
they'll
and
make
they'll
sure
put
that
on
they do everything properly that they need
to get them in,
yeah.
and they'll allow them for at a certain time of year to come along at a certain. So they're not playing. Nothing worse than
It's probably like the food, people that write an
Yeah.
article on food and the guy gets really looked after.
Yeah,
when he comes
exactly.
into the
So, and
restaurant.
if you know he's coming in, it's
red carpet
silver
gets rolled
service is
out.
done. So same with us. Like nothing worse than I'll hear as a course raiders come in and it's in the middle of July, place is wet and muddy and ugly. You know, we don't want them there, but they turn up. So we don't encourage that, and we probably should. We should be encouraging them to come in November, December when the course is in and tournament condition. Not
And how would you encourage them? Just invite them?
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of clubs do. A lot of clubs will say we've put an event on and we'll get course raiders in and we'll get them in at a certain time.
Which you could have done.
Yeah, but we don't, but we could have done. So, but I'm saying that a lot of clubs, it doesn't matter how well they're rated or how, it wouldn't matter if Royal Melbourne dropped from number 1 to number 6.
Their members aren't leaving.
No, it'd still be number 1. It's people have different perceptions about it, and
As a club.
yeah, definitely as
Not
a club,
as a green surface
and
or
as a
toilet or
world
as a
facility,
shower. But yeah,
world
as
facility.
the facility,
Yeah.
the whole club.
And I think we've got all these new clubs that are coming in, which is putting pressure on clubs like mine because we're we've come up a fair few in the last 2 years, but we're still being pushed out. We're being squeezed out because we've got Barnbougle Dunes and Lost Farm.
How many courses have they got? 3 now?
No, there's two down there. But you've got Cape Wickham and Ocean
Yeah.
Dunes, another 2.
Yep.
And then who knows what will happen with Kangaroo Island, what that's like when that gets built.
They're very destination courses, aren't they?
Yeah,
So
and then it's the wow factor. People go down and get blown away by it, and then all of a sudden it's voted
Well,
really
I'd never
highly.
seen anything like Barnbougle.
That's phenomenal.
I was just like, what?
It's phenomenal.
It was a potato farm?
Yeah, it's
But
phenomenal.
it just had all the right pieces, didn't
Yeah.
it?
So to have that happen affects clubs like ours.
Yeah.
But I just
Something
hope
has to give.
Yeah, but I hope in another 20 years' time or 30 years' time that the honeymoon period's finished on the new courses,
Yeah.
and then people start going back to the old traditional clubs. Going,
Yeah.
this place is pretty special.
Yeah.
So that's where I think.
But you don't, it only affects you if it affects you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's you're exactly right there. Some clubs that are sitting at number 50, they want to get
Into the
people in
10
because
or into the-
they want to move up because they
It
use
also
it as,
helps them get people to the course,
exactly.
doesn't it?
So they advertise it. You know,
Yep.
we've just made the top 100 or we made the
Yep.
top 20 public
Yeah.
access courses.
Yep.
So that's why they're very focal on that. They focus on that a lot because of the it helps them financially.
If you weren't a golf course superintendent, what would you be?
No idea.
You wouldn't be a
Never
farmer.
thought
We
about
know
it.
that much.
No, it wouldn't be a farm. I love the outdoors. I suppose I would like to be something like a ranger, but
Yep.
but working, I'd love to.
The
be,
reality of doing it and having a family.
Yeah, but it'd be great to be,
Not like a hiker, professional,
nah,
a marathon endurance.
No,
athlete.
no, nothing.
But outdoors,
nothing
you like.
I like
yep,
the outdoors. Yep. I like looking at. I like the view. I like. I don't like being cooped up. I like to be able to, even though I get in the office.
room. Yeah.
But I liked. That's what I like about the job I'm in. I'm in the office doing stuff, and I get sick of it. I go hop in my car and go for a drive around and see what's going on the golf course and take it all in again.
And you've just had your meditation.
yeah, relax.
effectively.
I can sort of calms me down a bit and back into the office if I need to.
So you mentioned before that there used to be a diploma.
Master's degree in Sydney. Yep.
What are the guys doing now to get into the market? Just doing
So I suppose what they're doing is if you haven't got a job, some guys are going to do Cert 2 and try and get some information or get some training to get a job in the trade.
Is it just as important to get a job as it is to get the certificate? Like just getting into a course is half the battle.
I think just
Or you guys
getting a
won't look
job.
at it? Will you look at the certificate, or you look at the pedigree, or you look at the attitude?
A bit
or?
of both. So it depends if you're after a qualified guy, then you want the certificate, obviously. But if you just wanted someone in to fill a position as a labourer, then for me it's about work ethic. Getting someone that's going to fit in with a group.
Yeah.
It's so important to have.
That's my biggest one for here. Play well with others, or
You've
don't.
got to fit in because you don't fit in, it can wreck the whole group.
Yep.
So getting someone that'll fit in, but someone that's going to work hard.
Yep.
I can educate them. I can train them on. I can't educate work ethic. You can't train someone on that.
I get
You've
it.
got it. You haven't got it.
Yep.
So that's where most people are just getting someone in, and when an apprentice, you'll advertise, get an apprentice in. If he's a good guy that's going to fit in and do well, then he'll do his training through TAFE, which is becoming an issue. TAFE have just stopped. Or
Yeah, I saw a
stopping
letter
turf.
getting circulated, signed. I
They've
think
stopped.
your signature was on there. So there was,
Stopped turf apprenticeship.
that's so crazy.
I know. So we had a meeting yesterday with them to try and keep that going. But it's about finding someone that's going to be a lecturer. We need someone that's going to be able to do the training
And
and be
this
educated
is probably
in
part
that.
of that job, part of your job that no one knows about. You know, being in on the
Association.
and being a super of,
Yep.
of a key club.
Yeah. Trying to get that happening. So having that, and then if you get an apprenticeship or you get trained up and you get your Cert 3, then to advance, then you want to start looking at the diploma or advanced certificate or diploma in
Yep.
turf, because then that's really about promoting yourself. Because if I advertise and for a groundsman I've got one guy, and they're both the same,
But he's
one's
got
got
the
the diploma, one
diploma.
hasn't. Well, I'm probably going to get the guy with
Yep.
the diploma because
It
he's
just
put
puts an
himself through it.
exclamation mark
Yeah,
on the
definitely.
individual, doesn't it?
And then because there's so many guys that do have it, the guys that don't have it it used to be the ones that stood out are the ones that had the diploma.
Yep.
Now it's the ones that stand out are the ones that don't have the diploma.
Wow.
So if you haven't got
everyone's
it,
doing it. Yeah, so you
not
kinda have
everyone,
to
but
now.
but you sort of it's sort of almost par for the course. If you want to get an assistant role or a foreman's role, you probably need to have that. So you can do it by correspondence through Victoria. There's
So you can still
do it.
You just have to. It's not just walk in and do
Yeah,
it. It's easy.
exactly.
It's
But-
not
and-
as easy as it once was.
Yeah, and although when I first did it back in late 90s, early 2000s, it was hard work. For 2 years I worked and then finished work early,
Yep.
which I had to make up on 2 mornings,
Yep.
and then go in for another 6 hours of
Yeah,
class.
so it wasn't
and do
handed
it.
to you. Like you.
And it was bloody hard work.
Yeah.
These days it's a bit more relaxed. You can do it online. And
Well,
you
the
can
world's
do
a
it,
different place.
yeah,
isn't it?
so it's a bit more flexible, whereas when I did it, it was hard work. So, but that's not to say it's not the same. It's still a diploma. You still got to go through the schooling and nut it out and get all the stuff right and your assignments and things. So I think it's important to do that. The masters was done at the Sydney University, and it was pretty full on.
Yeah.
And there's only not that many guys have
So
done
like
that.
turf science more than just
Yeah.
turf.
Yeah, it's pretty full on.
management.
They had to do a thesis. It was pretty full on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was exceptional. So a lot of work. Not many guys did it, and then because there wasn't many guys doing it,
Yeah.
they stopped it.
Yeah.
It may happen
So it was
in
almost
time.
self-regulated.
Yeah.
The staff, the humans just went. Nah.
No, exactly.
Too
But
hard.
there's too many.
Not
There's not
necessary.
enough guys doing it now. Pull the
Yeah, and then obviously people that you need to fill jobs,
yeah.
you're going to hire them that don't have it.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, well, why would I do it? I
Exactly.
don't need to do it. Yeah.
So I
And
think it was,
goes,
and I think it was important. Some guys, when it first happened, were looking at it going, "Well, I need to do it to get that next job."
but they didn't.
To get a supers job is sometimes it's not about your education. It's about where you've. Unfortunately, it's about where
I was
you've
about
worked.
to say, my next question: what would someone be doing now to get your job in 15 years?
So obviously,
So it's a-
getting your schooling, which is your apprenticeship and your
so you- that's
diploma, is a
minimum
given.
box.
Yep.
Tick your box. Learn your craft.
Yes, definitely.
Your
But-
base craft.
And then it's trying to get as much experience over a broad variety of things. So I've
Yep.
worked at Sandbelt private course. I've worked at coastal links courses, which
Yep.
are semi-private and public. I've worked at a club that's more public, and
Yep.
it's a resort style than
Yeah, yeah.
over here. So, but it's being prepared to travel. Some guys think that if I'm at a golf club for 10 years,
Yep.
I must be next in line.
But
That's
it's
not how it works.
It's more so that it's very similar in business. That living the same year 10 years in a row is not 10 years experience.
No,
it's
it's
just
just the
1
same.
year experience.
It's the
10
same.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
okay.
getting out there and moving from one club to the next, and not doing it all the time, but
Yeah.
moving from one club to the next to gain
Yeah, you don't want to
experience.
become a bit of a club hopper.
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
yeah.
But if you're doing it for the right reason. So recently was a superintendent's been employed at one of the big clubs in Adelaide,
Yep.
and he's moved around a lot in the last 15 years.
Yep.
But every move he's done is to better himself,
and no
or
one's
to
looked
gain.
at it and gone, "Oh, you're just moving for money," or
Yeah.
"You're just moving for this." Like
He's
it's
gone
yeah.
from council courses to private courses to public courses to,
Yep. To regional,
regional,
semi-regional, but yeah,
and
yeah.
then
Yep.
took a step back from a superintendent to an
Yep.
assistant's role at
Yep.
a high end club to
Yep.
gain that experience,
Yep.
and it's worked for him.
Yep.
That's where I think staff need to understand and gaining, for example, if Kangaroo Island was to take off and they start that construction
Yeah,
down
yeah,
there,
yeah.
if I was a groundsman, I'd be putting my hand up to go and do that
I'll go
because
to KI. Yep.
it's an experience of building, and it will probably be a world class course.
Yep.
I don't know, but
Yep.
go down there and get some experience of working on a great course or a new
Yep.
course,
Yep.
some construction on that, because it doesn't happen very often in Adelaide.
Yeah, from
build a new
scratch,
course,
yeah.
and then you might get a position down there, or it just gets
Or not.
you experience.
But you kind of have to enter into that with zero expectation.
Exactly.
Like
You've gotta
anything.
you've gotta
do it
take
for the right
chances.
reasons.
Yep.
And if you get a slap on the face and you walk home,
Yeah, and you've got to move. So
Yep.
guys moving interstate, moving as a job opens up at a club in Victoria or Sydney, take the opportunity
Well,
to
like
move and do
Pat
it.
didn't. He moved.
Yeah, Pat, he's gone to Kalgoorlie.
That's moving.
And that'll get him an opportunity. Hopefully, something opens up. He'll be able to step back into something in WA
or whatever
Victoria,
it works out to, whatever's right for him. But it's looked well upon when
Yes.
they go.
I'm prepared
What,
to
you
move.
were willing to live there?
Yes.
A long way away from all your friends and family?
You've taken the step and you've got yourself
So you've
more
got the right-
experience. Yep.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I take to my stuff. So, for example, the young guy that's going overseas, and he's paying for. He's working.
He knows.
He works every week. He's an apprentice. He's
Yep.
working every weekend he can to save some money to fly to St Andrew or fly to Scotland, and we'll pay him except for the 2 weeks that come each year. The rest of the time he'll get
He's
paid
gotta
at
look
St
after
Andrews.
himself.
He's got to rent a place for 10 weeks at a rent. He's got to buy stuff
Whatever
over
he
there.
needs, yeah.
He's going to live there for 10 weeks.
Yep, and all the stuff you don't think about that pops up.
Yeah, and he had to have a certain amount of money in his bank before they'd allow him to have a visa.
Yep.
So all those things have happened.
Yeah.
So that's where I think
You've
got to be prepared.
And you look at that on a resume and go,
yeah, oh, this guy's committed. He's and he's
doing
wanting
it for
to
the
get
right
ahead.
reasons, yeah.
That's where I think not just time in a job doesn't give you a promotion.
Or that, and look, I'll have exactly the same issues within this business here. I've got nearly 10 years old, and we've got staff that have been here for 6 months and 8 years, and some of them will actively try to grow within their role and try different things. And I want to open a shop up. We went to Lonsdale yesterday and had a cruise around. No one here lives in Lonsdale.
Yep.
Who wants to work at Lonsdale?
Yep.
And someone will put their hand up and they'll drive the hour each day.
Yep.
And then when I go, who wants to run the next thing or the whatever, they'll go, I'll look at them and go, well, you were willing to eat shit for me
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
2 years to grow that.
Yep.
You can now
You can
have
have this one.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
There we are.
that's cool. So yeah, it's the same. It's no different.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter what business or what industry it is. It's the same thing. So having those
The
guys
old
that are-
legacy jobs don't exist anymore.
No, and that finished up 30 years ago.
Yep.
But people still get they have the perception that I'm next
Like a
in line.
father-son
It's not gonna
rule,
happen.
or my dad was there, or my
exactly.
uncle. I'm connected to the board, or
Yep.
I get it.
Definitely. Yeah.
When someone's preparing their home lawn, what's I guess I've seen people whacking loam with a whacker. Is that a thing? Screed loam?
I wouldn't.
Roll your loam.
Before you put your turf down?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't, because you're creating paction straight
And
away.
then your roots
and
can't get in.
Yeah.
So
you want
to
to
try and get that level surface, you just want a level surface.
Yeah, get it level and give it a good, maybe, and if you're worried about it sinking or subsiding, give it a good water. Give it a water, because water will naturally compact things anyway, because it'll allow the soil to move together and fill any air pockets up. And as it drains away, it'll compact down or level out, and then if you need to, level out again and put your turf on it. But I wouldn't be running a whacker over anything that's
trying to
maybe you put your turf down and then whacker it, because that might allow
push the
turf.
Don't even bring a whacker
push
out.
the turf onto the surface. But
What
I
you're going
wouldn't
to do with a water roller, or
I wouldn't necessarily for a lawn. We do it sometimes if we've had an area with turf. We put a whacker just to try and flatten it out, because we're putting balls over it.
Yeah.
But if I was going to lay,
just for a home mum, dad,
I
kids
wouldn't.
playing on the lawn.
No, I'd. So if you're putting your turf down, you've got new soil coming in. Do you want to put some amendments, and even dynamic lift is good, but make sure it's raked in.
So putting your like a starter fertilizer.
Yep.
So dynamic lift being an organic, I don't even know what it is, like 210, like
Yeah,
low,
so-
410.
Yeah,
like
so if I was going to
really
do it, I'd get my area leveled off, get it as I need it, then incorporate some dynamic lift. Incorporate it pretty well, so because you want to encourage the roots to go down. So you want to incorporate it, put some starter out.
So deep root zone is really key.
Yeah, definitely. Put some starter out before you put the turf down. Either way, but you can put it out first, give it a rake in.
We always used to throw it down first. I don't know, it just
give
felt
it a
right.
light rake, and then put your turf on it, and then give it a good water, because that will encourage, if you're putting it on first and getting the fertilizer in the profile. It'll encourage the roots to initiate and then search. You want them to search down. So that's why. So in golf, with our greens, we do deep, heavy watering, because we don't want to have water in the top profile.
How many mil are we talking? Like, just, I mean, there's
not
people
lots.
that
If
would
I was to
listen to
water,
this.
I might put out 8 mil of water.
Okay, and that's deep.
Yep. So and depending on we have sensors in there, so we want to get water
in
down
every
there.
green. Or in some?
No, in some greens, but we also have probes. We walk around with hand probes, and we probe our moisture levels. And when we change holes, we check to see how much moisture is down below. So you want to have moisture down below rather than top, because that will encourage roots to head down and search for water. You don't want to have the roots sitting on top waiting for water. Yeah, because then you're hot to have a hot day.
They're just done. Yeah,
they'll keel over. So you want to have a good deep, roots down at 200 or 300 mil, searching for moisture. So there's a USGA spec how to build greens, and a lot of clubs do it. They're called perch water tables, and they're a green. So you have your surface. You'll have probably, I think it's through 400 mil of sand sitting above gravel.
What kind of sand? Like
just
like a quarried sand,
yeah,
like not a beach sand, but
just
so
a
it's not
construction
lime,
sand.
it's sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our greens are built of sand.
Yeah.
So you'll have, and the way it works is where you have a smaller particle sitting above a larger particle, it holds moisture. So when you water your greens, all the water will run out of the sand, but moisture will, where it meets the gravel, water will sit in that profile.
So you've got water 300 mil below the surface.
Yeah, but as it gets close to the gravel, it holds more water. So the roots, in theory, will grow down and get some moisture, but then they continue to grow because the further they grow, the more moisture there is.
So when you see those cores that people pull out, like, and have hero shots of their core, that's what they're trying to show how deep their roots are.
They're trying to get, because the deeper your roots, the healthier your plant, the more you can...
The more drought survival.
Yeah, drought, we can also have them firmer, so you can drive a top out and get the ball of greens harder and faster.
So you could, like, not water for 4 days over a tournament, and that's where you, like, is it like a
exactly.
wicket? Like, you get that kind of changing of the...
Yeah, so you don't have to water for 4 days, your greens will survive on hot weather because your roots are that far, 300 mil down, there's water down there.
The other day.
Whereas if you have no root system, you dry them out for 2 days and they'll go blue and keel up on you. Yeah. So, and that's about, so then that we can prepare greens to be quick and firm because it's dry on the top but still moist down below. But so that's encouraging roots. So home lawn, same sort of thing. You want to give, and another thing I wouldn't be doing with home lawns is watering every day. You don't need to water every day. No. But if it's 40 degrees, maybe you might need to water. But if it's on a normal summer, you watered Monday, you should give it a good water. And some people say, how long do you want to water for? I've got no idea how much water comes out of your sprinkler system.
The MP rotators, which is what everyone's using in the homeowner market at the moment, on all the forums, you go to the Australian Lawn Fanatics, there's 27,000 members in this group. It's all MP rotators. They dump 11 mil an hour.
But are they...
Match precipitation.
Yeah, so are they out there, doing catch cans?
No, none of that.
But it's as simple
as... Which we sell, catch cans, get them out online.
But it's simple as just putting any device that's
got... A shot glass.
And when you finish, you measure it and see how much water's in there, and you go, well, I've put out 8 mil. Or I've put out 2 mil.
These sprinklers tell you. So an MP rotator is 11 mil an hour. So if you want to do, you said 8 mil, you water for 45, 50 minutes.
And that doesn't depend on the pressure that's coming through.
No, they're matched precipitation. So it does require the right pressure. So, but you can buy a body with a pressure regulating stem.
Okay. Yep.
So and look, the doing that test's still ideal. Yeah. And it doesn't need you can use tuna tins. It doesn't matter.
As long as they're the same size, they're not coned, same size tin, doesn't
and then
matter.
you get that consistent watering. You'll get it from these. So we'll save to most people 25 mil a week over 2 cycles. Yep. Like you said, Monday, then maybe Thursday.
Yes.
And you do an hour and an hour, so you're going to get 22 mil or 23 mil. It's pretty good. Yep. Unless it's 40 degrees. And then you.
Yeah. So you're better off doing that because that encourages deep roots. Yep. Whereas if you water every day, the plant goes, well, I don't need to grow any. I can sit here and have a short root. I don't think anyone's doing enough
soil prep. Like you're talking 300 mil.
Yeah,
plus
but so
whatever else.
on a home lawn, I wouldn't do that.
100 mil.
I would. Yeah. So that's fine, but you still want to water heavily
to get the water deep.
Infrequently to get the roots, get the water down that. Fill the profile up so then the roots will search for that water.
It's funny you say this. I had a question from a landscape architect last week, which I haven't replied to yet because I'm shocking with my life. He was saying how much water should we be applying to native plants in establishment periods, and Matt's answer was exactly the same. Infrequent deep watering encourages the roots to go really, really deep. So you might... And then it's about adjusting. So you can't answer that. No. Because you need to go test it. Stick your hand in there or dig a hole or whatever and see how much water's there. You can't you can't ask the plant how it went.
No. And you soon work out if the plant starts to suffer, you soon get a gauge of how often
so it's a bit of trial and error, like kind of like just keep reining it back in.
Definitely.
So that leads me to my question. I asked Matt if he had any questions for you. When we move into heavy drought conditions, what are your first protocols around water irrigation savings? Like where does a golf course look first? Like, are you going to start do you have backup water? Have you got a bore?
So we're one of the lucky ones. So we have bores. We have 4 bores on the course, which are all a good amount of water coming out of them. But we have an ASR, so which is an aquifer recharge scheme. So we collect stormwater. So all the stormwater that comes from a significant area, it's almost all the way from pretty much from our club all the way to South Road. It's a massive catchment comes through. So we have any rain that comes through. If we get 10 mil of rain, we get about 10 meg. And what
do you use a day in water?
So depending on, in some we might use a meg or meg 1.2.
So a good rain event can give you 20 days or 30 days.
So during winter we just but we keep pushing that water down. So
Into the ground?
We'll put
And it's your ground?
Yep.
Like it doesn't disappear into groundwater?
No.
Like it's in a...
So they've done studies when
It's
before they did
encased.
it. It
Yep.
actually it creates a plume in the ground, and then
Yep.
we pull that back out
Yep.
again. So we put about 200 meg down into the ground a year, and then we pull that back out.
So that's your year almost?
Yeah, yep. So our stormwater is
Wow.
we use a fraction more than that, depending on the year.
Yeah.
This year we didn't
Yeah.
use more because it was such
Yeah.
a long, dry summer.
Yeah.
So
But
the
then
water,
last year we had, January and February, it rained
yeah,
for
yeah.
60
So
days?
yeah, exactly. So we're all, last year we were pretty much
Yep.
like for like. So we, in theory, we don't use any more. We use very little water out of the ground.
Okay.
The water we use out of the ground is the water we've put in.
That's yours. But other courses that don't have water...
So we have one. Grange has one. Glenelg has one. Westlakes have one.
Yep.
And then some other clubs around the place are trying to, and then have some similar stuff. But
Yeah.
so we're that's what we use for our water
So
source.
you're not as dependent on...
No.
Unless you have a droughted winter.
Yeah, but you know the water supply. So in theory, we're replenishing the because we're not pulling much water out of there now.
Yeah.
We're replenishing the groundwater. So
Yeah.
groundwater amounts are huge. So we're not pulling it out, and not putting anything back in. We're
Yeah.
pulling out what we're putting in. So
Yeah.
that works well for us. We're also our sprinklers are all hard edge, so we only water our surfaces. None of the water gets off the course, meaning that so if where our fairway is, the edge of our fairway is watered with a part circle.
Yeah,
Nothing
okay, so you
goes-
don't full circle out to the trees.
Nothing.
Okay, it's all...
It's just the plain
Yep,
surface.
yep.
So our fairways are green, and then
Yep,
off.
so you're not wasting
You don't have to go a
water.
foot off our fairway,
Yep.
and it's dry bone,
Yep.
crispy. So we only water the surface we play on. And
Whereas a
everything
lot of
else-
courses will do a 360
and-
everywhere.
yeah,
It's
and they-
easier, you don't have to worry
And
about
they cut the
nozzles.
rough, and that's
Yeah.
what the members want.
Yeah.
And so our members get a course that's presented from edge
Edge
to
to
edge,
edge.
and outside that is
Well, don't-
if it's a dry year, if it's
don't
a wet
put your
year,
ball out there.
that's the penalty.
Yeah.
So that's how we have it. So we save water by doing that as well. So we've reduced water amounts. So the last 8 years since the system went in, we've reduced water
So
amounts
there would
significantly.
have been a cost to put that infrastructure
Yeah,
in
huge
place,
amounts,
and
yeah.
obviously there'd be a few accountants at the club that know how to work those numbers.
Yes, yeah.
And then they've gone. Actually, one of them's my accountant's boss.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eddie if you're listening. And then they'll go, okay, over 6 years or 10 years or 12 years, we'll pay it back. It makes sense. We'll just do it.
Yep, and so we've saved water, but we also present the course better. So
What do
that-
other
that's-
clubs do if they can't? Do they just stop watering fairways
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
So the
So
greens,
clubs-
the greens
are
are
number
priority.
one.
Tee blocks second.
Yeah, greens and then tees and then fairway. So I know there were some clubs this year up until we had the rain, and we're starting to limit water on fairways.
Well, Murray Bridge, when Mao did that tour,
Yeah.
they said they turned that fairway off and
Yeah,
just
and so other clubs in Adelaide were not watering fairways. Some of them were restricting. So instead of putting out maybe watering twice a week, they
you'll
might be
keep it
doing
alive.
once a week.
Yeah, so you'll give it enough to keep it alive, but not have
as soon as you get a rain,
pristine-
it'll freshen
Yeah.
up. That's why we have warm season grasses. So as we have a rain, and away it goes. If you had cool season grass, you'd be cooked. So so that's where clubs that's what they're doing. They're trying to reduce the amount of water by going out, and in those times where some clubs only have stormwater, and then if the dam's empty, they've
Well,
got
you
it
saw that. I saw that at Blackwood.
Yeah.
We used to be a sponsor of Blackwood, and I saw that dam
dropping
just go
down.
down and
Yeah,
down and down. And
yeah.
you're
So
like, oh, it's gonna
and the
rain
problem
soon.
is it's a really difficult one. So you have a dam that holds 100 meg, just
Yeah.
say. As it drops down, you can't.
You're not pulling the same water, are you?
But you can't actually water as normal. So you have to really start saving. Even though you might not need it, you need to start saving water in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And you might have a rain event and fill it up, but you don't know when that rain's going to come. So you've got to bank on worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So a lot of members will say, "Oh, you could have watered." I know that, but I didn't know it was going to rain.
Yeah.
And if it didn't rain, and I had to use that water up, then what would we
What
do?
you would have been, yeah.
And then you have to buy town water, which
Yeah.
is a massive cost.
Yeah.
Some clubs. A few clubs in Adelaide, but in Melbourne, some clubs are spending tens of thousands of dollars just on buying potable water.
And
They've
that's
got nothing
not.
else.
That's just emergency water. That's not even like.
Yeah.
I posted on Facebook last night to ask for some questions, so I'm just going to have a look. The only question that was asked, Carmo answered because he couldn't help himself. I'm guessing.
Oh, here we go.
Loves it. So, what's the best way to treat moss in bent greens, and when's the best time?
Put me on the spot.
Well, I've got Shane's answer.
Oh,
There's a product. There's a product for it.
so there is going on. I'm not going to say any products because I'm not aligned to any
Yep.
companies,
Yep.
and so there is products out there that would be. There's a few that could control moss
Yep.
specifically. Some of them it's a side effect. So
Yep.
some guys are using fertilizers like iron to burn the moss.
Oh, wow.
There's a mancozeb, which is a fungicide, but it will help
So
control.
you can't
moss as
prevent
well.
moss. You need to just deal with it when it occurs.
Well, moss is one of, and there's moss and there's algae. So both of them are usually from low light or when your grass gets a bit thin and it's gets a bit damp.
Yep.
So we tend to get moss towards this time of year because we've been putting water out all summer. The profile can get a bit wet, especially the top part of it, and you're not getting those hot, dry days to burn it off. So the profile stays damp, and you're getting that sort of damp surface, bit of algae, that sort of feel to it. So that's when the moss starts to pop up. So there's a few algicides you can use to try and control the algae and the moss. It's a few different varieties, but there is some controls out there. And this is the time of year we'd be trying to spray them, and that's when we have them, is this time of year. We don't have much of it. Usually the hole we do would have it on is our spare hole, so we don't doesn't get any play. Tends to be the last green we get to. It tends to have a lot of juice.
Well, if you're going to leave everything.
So it has dew longer than the rest of them, so it on the surface, which creates that moist environment for it to grow. So that becomes a bit of an issue.
The guy that asked the question said, "I hear baking soda works too."
Well, there you go. So as I said, there's a lot of things out there. If
you're aligned with a baking soda brand or not, but
there's a lot of guys out there. So there is chemicals you can use. But
Shane, look, Carmo's put one in. I don't think it's related to something he sells. So
So there's just different. So it's been one of those things for a long time. There's a lot of those little tricks out there people are using for, one of them the other day was
necessity tricks, aren't they? Like courses that don't want to buy it, but they've heard this works. But
one of the things the other day was, someone was talking about putting a controlling stem weevil or an insect on greens, and one of the guy in Sydney is a specialist in turf. He's 82. That's all he's done for.
So he knows his shit.
And he was suggesting things like tea tree oil and eucalyptus oil mixed together, sprayed on the surface, as it's watered in, will antagonise the insect and bring them up to the surface. And then if you go with a knockdown and knock them all over, so they're not hiding around the surface. So in theory, you could do it and then cut your green or cut your lawn.
And just dry them.
Knock them all off. So there's always little tricks.
And that'd have to be part of the reason that you get up each day and keep, obviously there's always something every day.
Definitely. So we're going to seminars, and I went to Sydney for 2 days last week about it. It was a power seminar from guys all over Australia and New Zealand.
When you said that, I was like, junket, straight up junket.
It was. So we didn't actually leave. We stayed at the one golf club for 2 days for 8 hours each day, it wasn't there was no one up there spruiking their products. It was just 40 superintendents all having a discussion on what they're doing.
It's so good as well because I'm trying to facilitate similar things here where we do these landscaper dinners, and I just try and put the bunch of landscapers in a room together, 8 or 10 at a time. I've got one Thursday night. And I don't want to sell them shit while I'm there. Obviously, I want them to be a fan of Waterpro. But there's no product displays. There's no banners. It's just you guys talk about. I get involved. Like they're telling me tricks about concrete and when we do this, we do that. It just makes it more pure. I think.
That's right. And that's what these little seminars we have are like that. They're just there's no trade there. They're just guys talking about
what
they're doing.
Which means they need to be self-funded. But there's no potential for. Not corruption, but decisions made because of X, Y, or Z.
And there'll be, so when I say no trade, there'll be no companies selling stuff there. There'll be guys we deal with companies like Syngenta and Bayer. They're the manufacturers of chemicals.
The scientists, not to the sales.
They're the manufacturers of the chemicals, and they gets divvied out to the on-sellers. So those guys were there. They were talking about the new chemistry and new products that are possibly coming out and getting feedback on what we're doing.
Which they need as well.
So it works both ways. So those seminars are really important to go to as well for lots of reasons.
That is all my questions, mate. Do you have anything you want to ask the audience or spruik at the moment? Obviously,
no, I don't
you're not
think
here to
so.
sell your golf course. The golf course takes care of itself.
Yep. Yeah, it's a bit different, I suppose, than what some of
our
other
guests,
ones where they're running businesses, which is great opportunity for them to spruik their stuff. But now we tick along and do our own thing. And it's odd, the situation I'm in, we're in competition with every other club, as all clubs are, but we aren't. So that's why it's an odd scenario where I'm willing to help other clubs and vice versa. They want to help me. But yet, here we are vying for golfers.
Well, you are.
That's what it's about. But we're not here to
you know what, it's
hide it all away.
We talk about it with my landscape clients that once you're at peace with who you are in your market, and you guys are, you're not worried about the competition. Because it's not, you're not worried. There's enough for you all to eat.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we are encouraging with all clubs, because the more clubs we have, the clubs we have, and if they're becoming a better club or becoming better turf facilities, which we're all trying to do, then golfers enjoy golf more and they want to be a part of it, and then there's more golfers, and we all benefit from that. And
it exposes it to more people. And the course that I can afford as a 22-year-old is different to the course that I'm going to afford as a 55-year-old.
Exactly.
And it's just great.
That's right. And that's what it's about. And then clubs know their place in the market. Some clubs are feeder clubs where that's where people join as a beginner, and they play with their mates on a Saturday afternoon in shorts and a singlet. And as it works its way up, they go to the next club and then the next
have to
club.
start wearing a shirt.
Yeah,
I
that's
wore
right.
a collared shirt today, see, DK? That's because you were coming in.
Alrighty, yeah, good one.
Thank you so much. I
No
really
problems.
appreciate it. I just want to mention that this week is the Thank a Super Week in Australia,
Yeah,
which
it
is
is.
which
Yep.
is an initiative that the AGCSA
Yep, which is the
have-
Australian Association. Yep.
have put together. I know that you don't do it for the thank yous, but I know that there's probably and you probably get a lot of it.
Yep.
But there's probably a lot of courses out there where there's superintendents that are
Doesn't get a
working
lot.
80 and 100-hour weeks.
Yep.
And at no point does anyone just tap them on the back and say, you know what, we really appreciate what you're
Yeah,
doing. So if
definitely.
you are a member of a golf course, it's free to say thank you. And I know that some of the supers probably feel like it's a bit gimmicky, but use it as a good opportunity.
Yeah,
I guess it's
It's a good
like
idea, I think.
other initiatives like Are You OK Day or Dry July. It's really just about setting a week
Recognition.
aside to do
Yeah.
it or a day aside to do it, just so you can do it.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you very much.
No problems. Cheers.